Chapter 166. Master AI, who was in a meeting with the AI family, knew that Sect Master June had come to the medicine shop. He put down his stall and hurried over. When he entered, he didn't see anyone. He cupped his hands and smiled. What wind blew Sect Master June here? Northwest wind. June Changshao said lightly. AI Shang heard his tone and immediately judged that he was a little unhappy. He immediately became nervous. Could it be that there was an ignorant junior in the AI family who offended Sect Master June? In Master AI's eyes, June Changshao was the god of wealth. The future of the AI family depended on the healing pills and body-shaping pills. Naturally, he didn't dare to offend him. He carefully walked into the living room and said, Sect Master June seems a little troubled. Sigh. June Changshao sighed. Don't mention it. AI Shang sighed in relief. Don't mention it. These 3 words meant that the matter that made him unhappy had nothing to do with the AI family. Sect Master June, we are old friends. Master AI sat down and said, if you have any troubles, you can tell me. Maybe I can help you. June Changshao said, Master AI, you should have heard of the Shao family in Liang City, right? Could it be that the Shao family offended Sect Master June? As expected of a businessman, he was able to guess the crux of the matter with just a thought. I have. AI Shang said. June Changshao put his elbow on the armrest and held his chin. This Shao family offended me. As expected. AI Shang secretly said, the Shao family's strength is not even comparable to a 7th-rate sect. They dared to offend Iron Bone. Are they tired of living? If the higher-ups of the Shao family heard this, they would definitely feel wronged. They offended Iron Bone a few months ago. At that time, Iron Bone wasn't so arrogant. Now that they realized it, they were prepared to stop for a while. In the end, they were arranged. Master AI. June Changshao said, I am a bit of a vengeful person. I also hate two-faced people, AI Shang hurriedly said, Sect Master June, my AI family has nothing to do with the Shao family. I am not a two-faced person. Listening to the sound of the strings, it was absolutely full marks. June Changshao said, we're friends, so June will naturally believe you. As he spoke, he placed 2 healing pills on the table and said, thank you for your support at the Haoqi sect. These 2 healing pills are for Master AI. This, if you don't accept it, then you're treating me like an outsider. AI Shang said, thank you, Sect Leader June, for your gift. After saying that, he happily took back the pills. After all, according to the last auction price, 2 healing pills were worth 1,200,000 taels. Patriarch AI. June Changshao asked, how's the gathering of the materials coming along? Yes. AI Shang hurriedly took out the medicinal herbs he had collected recently and said, Sect Master June, the medicinal herbs are a bit lacking this time. Let's gather more after some time. This AI will personally send them to the Iron Bone sect. June Changshao put away the medicinal herbs and said, that's right, I have a list of medicinal herb seeds here. Do you have them in stock? AI Shang took the list and glanced at it. He smiled and said, Sect Master June, the medicinal herbs are a bit hard to find, but my AI family has a lot of these seeds. As he spoke, he handed the list to shopkeeper Ma and ordered him to bring all the seeds in the shortest time possible. After he left, AI Shang moved closer and said in a low voice, Sect Master June, this AI has a question, but I don't know if it's appropriate to ask. Of course. Have all the disciples of your sect taken the body-shaping pill? That's right. Your disciples performed so well at the Haoqi sect. It should have something to do with the body-shaping pill, right? It has a lot to do with it. Great. A smile appeared on AI Shang's face. June Changshao knew that AI Shang wanted to hype up the body-shaping pill, so he was looking forward to how high the auction price would be. The higher the auction price, the more he would get. Even if he had more than 10 million taels in his pocket, Sect Master June wouldn't mind. Half an hour later. Shopkeeper Ma took out all the medicinal herbs on the list, and all of them were of high quality. Needless to say, it was a free gift. Jun Changshao accepted it with a smile and cupped his hands. I still have matters to attend to at the sect. Jun will take his leave first. Ai Shang sent him off. Ai family head's attitude towards Sect Master Jun is so good. At the Haochi sect, Ai family head is helping the Iron Bone sect. I heard that he was even willing to lend 10 million taels. TSK, such a close relationship. The Ai family and the Iron Bone sect must have a lot of business dealings. The passers-by discussed in low voices. After sending off Jun Changshao, Ai family head returned home. He clasped his hands behind his back and hesitated in the main hall. Family head, what happened? Ai Shang didn't understand. Sigh. Ai Shang sighed and said, Liang City Shao family offended Sect Master Jun. Ai Shang's eyes widened. Ai Shang sat down and put one hand on the teacup. Sect Master Jun should know that we have business dealings with the Shao family. He came to the medicine shop to knock some sense into them. Ai Shang asked, Family head, what should we do? Ai Shang took a sip of tea and said, Sect Master Jun is our Ai family's god of wealth. We cannot offend him. So, we have to stop our business with the Shao family immediately. Ai Shang said, but the Shao family just sent a deposit a few days ago. Third brother even signed a contract with them, we have to stop it even if it's a breach of contract. Ai Shang said firmly. Breach of contract? Then they have to pay 10 times the deposit. Although Ai Shang's heart ached, since the family had said so, they had to stop it immediately. I'll go and tell them. Wait, check carefully. See if our Ai family has any business dealings with the Shao family. If they do, no matter how big or small or how much they cost, stop them all. Okay. Shao family. The sixth elder, who was in charge of medicinal herbs and pills, walked into the main hall dejectedly with a large stack of banknotes. Sixth brother, where did you get so much money? Shao family's first elder asked. The Ai family gave it to us. Sixth elder said. Second elder said with a smile, why did the Ai family head suddenly give us so much money? Is it because our Shao family has always been buying from their pharmacy? Although our Shao family's main business is not our business, we have half of the medicinal herbs and pills market in Liang City. Third elder said with a smile, the Ai family will definitely think highly of us. It's natural for them to give us money to deepen our relationship. The Ai family had recently developed a healing pill and was in the limelight. Suddenly, they took the initiative to give so much money. The Shao family's upper echelons felt like their bodies were floating from the ground. Sigh. Sixth elder slammed the banknotes on the table and said angrily, what bullshit money, this is the penalty for breach of contract from the Ai family. Penalty for breach of contract? Everyone's smile froze. Shao family's first elder frowned, what happened? Sixth elder put a letter on the table and said, the Ai family just sent someone to deliver a letter. They want to cut off all business dealings with our Shao family. What? The elders all gathered around to read the letter. Sure enough, it was written clearly in black and white from today onwards, our Ai family will cut off all business dealings with the Shao family. The signature was Ai Shang, and there was even a fingerprint. Everyone who was about to float up just now was hit in the head by a heavy hammer. Not only did their souls instantly enter their bodies, but they also almost drilled into the ground. Although that stack of money was a lot, if they cut off all business dealings with the Ai family, without high-quality medicinal herbs and pills, how would they do business in the future? Kacha! Shao family's first elder held the letter and said angrily, our Shao family must have offended someone. Chapter 167. The Ai family didn't hesitate to break the contract and cut off all business dealings. No matter how stupid the Shao family was, they could guess that they had offended someone. The great elder's eyebrows wrinkled even more. The AI family prioritized business and paid particular attention to harmony. Suddenly cutting off all business dealings and not hesitating to pay 10 times the penalty, there must be a huge force behind this. My Shao family. Who the hell did I offend? The great elder was about to collapse. Of course, he didn't consider that it was Jun Changshao behind the scenes because this 8th-rate sect absolutely didn't have the qualifications and ability to make the AI family cut off all business dealings with them. What a pity. It really was Jun Changshao. After leaving the medicine store, he didn't immediately return. Instead, he went around the market and bought some seasonings and seeds for Du, as well as some crystal cores. He didn't return home until dusk came. If the AI family had good eyesight, they would have cut off all business dealings with the Shao family by now. If you lose quality suppliers, even if you can buy from other stores, you will certainly lose a lot of customers, and your profits will inevitably be greatly reduced. There are also mineral veins. Without this industry, it's equal to cutting off half of your income. How can a family develop without money? Jia jia jia. A gloomy laughter came from the mountains, scaring the beasts away. It was already dark when he returned to the sect. Ha! Jun Changshao had just returned to the courtyard when he saw Zhou Hong sitting at the door. Puzzled, he asked, "Why are you sitting here instead of practicing your sword?" Shua! Zhou Hong got up and hurriedly said, "Sect leader, please teach me the Ling Jian divine art." This guy was really persistent. He squatted at the door for a whole day and didn't even go to pee. If you want to learn, you can. Jun Changshao said, "You must contribute to the sect." He wouldn't give anything just because he was a good seedling. He must be recognized. For example, Yi Xingchen defeated the disciples of the vast spirit sect with absolute strength and showed off the power of the iron bone. Therefore, he generously gave him the cold-edged sword. The system didn't take the initiative to match the sword skills with the sect's martial arts, indicating that this thing couldn't be casually given to disciples to practice. It's not that the system didn't automatically match, but the level of the sword skills was too high. Even if disciples with low spiritual roots had a book, they could only learn a little. Sect leader. Zhou Hong said, "How can I get contribution points?" Jun Changshao considered for a moment then said, "Soon, I will be bringing my disciples out for training. You should come along as well. If your performance is good, I can reward Ling Jian with a divine technique." All right. Zhou Hong agreed without hesitation. There were two things that a swordsman cared about the most. One was the sword, and the other was the sword technique. It didn't matter if they lost their lives for it. After returning to the study, Jun Changshao opened the alchemy pavilion and began to automatically match the herbs and fire seeds. Then, he began to refine the pills. There weren't many herbs this time, so there weren't many herbs to refine. However, he had accumulated a lot of healing pills. This made Jun Changshao secretly think, should he give more to the AI clan and let them auction it off? No. The rarer something was, the more expensive it was. Only by controlling the quantity could it be sold for a good price. The next morning, a beautiful divine song began to play on the training field. Jun Changshao led the disciples to dance at the front. After the dance, they went to the herb garden. After receiving the herb seeds and inspecting them, Elder Wei said in surprise, "Sect leader, these are all high-quality herb seeds from the AI clan." Jun Changshao said, with Elder Wei's strength, he naturally needs high-quality seeds to show his talent. "Sect leader, you flatter me." Elder Wei said, "The higher the quality of the seeds, the longer the growth period." How long? With the current spiritual power gathered in the herb garden, it will take at least 2 months. How's the effect? Elder Wei pondered for a moment, then said, "It's much better than the first batch of herbs." Is that so? Jun Changshao was overjoyed. The first batch of qi gathering pills refined from herbs already had 10 times the spiritual power. If these high-quality pills matured, wouldn't it be even better to refine them? Elder Wei. Jun Changshao said, "I have a body-shaping pill here. Take it." If they wanted to make the disciples stronger quickly to deal with the one-year agreement with the Holy Spring Sect, they had to rely on chi-gathering pills. If they just relied on collecting herbs outside to refine them, the supply would definitely not meet the demand. Therefore, Elder Wei was very important. I'm already an old bag of bones. Elder Wei shook his head and laughed. What's the point of taking pills? Jun Changshao said, take this pill. It can strengthen your body. Elder Wei, don't refuse. Okay. Elder Wei took the pill and swallowed it. When the pill took effect and his muscles, blood, and strength were greatly improved, he said in disbelief, little guy, this pill of yours is amazing. Jun Changshao said, Elder Wei, I have many more amazing pills. If you join Iron Bone and become the medicine hall master, you can eat as much as you want. He was not satisfied with hiring a herbalist who was so meticulous in cultivating herbs. Instead, he hoped to recruit him into the sect and become a member of Iron Bone. Elder Wei shook his head and said, I'm already an old man with one foot in the grave. How can I still think about joining a sect? Jun Changshao said seriously, Elder Wei, you have to know that there are people in this world who are old in person but young in heart. Old in person but young in heart. Elder Wei laughed at himself and said, I don't have any dreams or goals. I live in this world. My old in person and old in heart. Jun Changshao said, as long as one is alive, one must constantly strive. Elder Wei is too pessimistic. Sigh. Elder Wei sighed and said, little guy, when you've experienced more things and suffered more blows, you'll understand that it's impossible not to be pessimistic. He turned and left. His back looked even more aged. Elder Wei. Jun Changshao shouted, I don't care what you've experienced or what kind of blows you've suffered. I just want to tell you that as long as one is healthy, one should strive and not give up on oneself. Elder Wei stopped and laughed, little guy, are you teaching an old man who has walked more paths than you have eaten? Jun Changshao said seriously, I just don't want Elder Wei to continue sinking. I want him to live happily. Even if it's not for himself, it's for his deceased relatives and brothers. Elder Wei's body suddenly shook. His skinny hands trembled slightly. Sure enough, he had guessed right. Jun Changshao said, Elder Wei's research on herbs has reached perfection. He must have worked hard when he was young. Since that's the case, why don't you pull yourself together and work with me to do something great? Work together to do something great, these words rang in his ears. They came not only from Jun Changshao but also from someone else. Elder Wei's cloudy eyes gradually moistened. Child. He said with a trembling voice, someone said the last sentence to me several hundred years ago. Jun Changshao said, it seems that I'm not the only one who understands Elder Wei. Phew. Elder Wei took a deep breath and said sadly, there's no one in this world who understands me anymore. I understand, Jun Changshao said. Elder Wei said, little guy, tell me about your great cause. Jun Changshao said seriously, let Iron Bone clan become the strongest clan. Let the name of the clan be known throughout the Falling Star continent. Your great cause is much greater than his. Elder Wei muttered. He turned around and smiled, however, it's very much to my liking. Elder Wei agreed. If the clan leader doesn't mind these old bones of mine, I'm willing to do something for Iron Bone clan. The next day, Jun Changshao summoned the disciples and solemnly announced the establishment of the second medicine hall of Iron Bone clan. Elder Wei was appointed as the hall master and was in charge of herbs and medicine. Sun Bukong and the others were assigned to the medicine hall. After receiving hall master Feng, Elder Wei returned to the herb garden and sat alone in the pavilion. He looked at the blue sky and white clouds in the sky and muttered, old friend, is my decision right? P.S. Please subscribe, support, recommend, and monthly votes. If the results are good, there will be more at night. Chapter 168. The establishment of the medicine hall signified that Iron Bone was one step closer to becoming a professional. Of course, there was still a long way to go. Jun Changshao needed to explore as he walked. Then, he would slowly add in the essentials of a sect, gradually perfecting and expanding it. Although this path was destined to be long, he was full of confidence because he had the system cheat. Shao Clan's pills and herbs were arranged by AI Clan, and Li Luoqiu was also in charge of the mines. Jun Changshao was free and unfettered, and began to focus on martial arts. After buying the Green Dragon Crescent Blade, he realized that his peak martial disciple's strength was nothing but bullshit. He needed to break through as soon as possible. How to break through? He could only complete the epic mission. Because if he didn't complete it, his realm would be suppressed. Damn it! Jun Changshao opened the data panel and tapped on the details of the epic mission. He muttered, "There are still 30 days left for the mission. I have enough time to prepare." This kind of mission to kill a large number of beasts in the valley was equivalent to a large-scale mission. He needed to bring a lot of disciples. Sect Master. While thinking, Li Qingyang walked into the study room and said, "There are a lot of people coming to sign up." How many? At least 500 to 600. That's quite a lot. Jun Changshao wasn't surprised that so many people came to sign up. After all, after defeating Hao Qi sect, any smart person would realize the potential of Iron Bone. Let's go. Jun Changshao stood up and said, "Let's go and accept disciples." Creak. The tightly shut door of Iron Bone was pushed open. Jun Changshao walked out. Before he even walked down the stairs, a few hundred youths surrounded him like a tide, clamoring to join the sect. Many of these youths had seen the recruitment announcement a month ago, and wanted to join. Why did they only come now? Because they told their parents about the idea of joining Iron Bone, and were mercilessly suppressed. The reason was that they offended the 100 Sect Alliance and challenged Hao Qi sect. Joining such a sect was equivalent to courting death. No wonder those parents. The 100 Sect Alliance and Hao Qi sect were giants in Azure Sun County. Who would dare to take the risk and send their children to the tiger's mouth? Things were different now. Jun Changshao led his disciples to defeat the vast Qi sect, using their strength to prove the strength of Iron Bone. A sect that was once unrated seemed to have suddenly risen and even had the ability to wrestle with a sixth-rate sect. They were definitely a force with great potential. Many far-sighted parents not only agreed with their children's decision, but also personally sent them to the mountain gate and prayed at the foot of the mountain, hoping that they would be accepted by Iron Bone. It was a pity. Many parents were destined to be disappointed, because there were only 260 spots left for Iron Bone. Line up, one by one. Li Qingyang commanded the order. More than 500 youths lined up neatly and went through the interview one by one. What's his name? Jun Changshao asked the first teenager who came to register. Perhaps because the young man was too excited, he stammered, "Reporting." "Reporting. Sect leader." I, Jun Changshao said, "Straighten your tongue before you speak." Who? The young man took a deep breath and controlled his emotions. "Reporting. Reporting to Sect Master, my name is Yin Jiping." Jun Changshao said, "Quanzhen Sect." "Quanzhen Sect?" Yin Jiping said with a blank face, "I've never joined a sect before." Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "Xiao Longnu was harmed by people with this name. Go, Iron Bone is not suitable for you. Not accepting disciples just because of their names. Sure enough, they can do whatever they want." This incident told us that even in the other world, naming was a very technical matter. Next. Jun Changshao said. A young man with a decent appearance walked over and said politely, "Sect leader Jun, my name is Lin Jiangheng." Jun Changshao sized up the entry form, filled in his name and stamped it. He pointed to the back and said, "Go in, someone will receive you." "Thank you, sect leader." Lin Jiangheng bowed and stepped into Iron Bone under the envy of the other youths. Without asking anything, he was accepted just by saying his name. It seemed that he still had a chance. He's in. Su Xiaoma, who was sitting on the training ground, said with a blade of grass in his mouth, "Xiao Fei, It's up to you. Okay. Li Fei raised his leg and shot. The happy football flew in an arc. Lin Jiangheng, who had just walked in, didn't even have time to look at Iron Bone before the ball hit his face. Not bad. Su Xiaoma said, to be able to take a kick from Xiao Fei without falling, you should have some strength. Using a football as a test, ingenious. Outside. Jun Changshao didn't expect Su Xiaoma and his group of bastards to use a football to kick a new disciple. He took out another entry form and said, "What's your name?" The young man said, "My name is Cui Bujian." Pa, he stamped the sect's seal and said, "Go in." This guy really only needed to look at the right person and not ask about the cultivation level of the spirit root, just the name. Bang! Inside Iron Bone, Cui Bujian, who had just walked in, was also attacked by the ball. He fell to the ground with a loud bang and spat out blood. Su Xiaoma said in shock, "So weak?" One kick and he spat out blood. That. Li Fei scratched his head and said, "Senior brother, I didn't control my strength well just now. That kick was at least 1,000 pounds of force." Ah! Su Xiaoma's eyes widened. Then, he rushed over and carried Cui Bujian, who was spitting out blood, and rushed to the medicine hall in a hurry. Sun Bukong, save him, save him. As long as Jun Changshao liked them, they would be accepted into the sect. In a short time, more than 500 youths were all interviewed. 260 people joined Iron Bone, the rest were eliminated. There was no other way. There were only so many spots, it was impossible to accept all of them. After the disciple recruitment, the data on the system panel showed that the sect had reached 500 people, and the contribution points increased to 720 points. The points would be automatically removed after 24 hours, so Jun Changshao didn't think about it and bought 4 bottles of aptitude-changing liquid for Su Xiaoma and the others to use. As for the remaining 20 points, he planned to try his luck at night and see if he could get some good stuff from the store. Ding! The system has reached the maximum number of members. The sect mission has been activated. Jun Changshao rubbed his hands and opened the data panel. The sect mission changed from no mission to sect mission. Click to see the details. Click to see. Rows of missions appeared on the small data panel. There were more than 100 kinds of missions, and sect leader Jun was a little dazzled. Maybe because of the construction of the sect and the increase in its level, there were very few 1-star missions. Most of them were 2-star missions, and there were a few 3-star missions. 1 star represented 1 contribution point, and 2 stars represented 2 points. Jun Changshao estimated that if all the disciples completed the missions, the achievement points would be full. Then, the sect could be upgraded and more functions could be unlocked. But it was too troublesome to release so many missions one by one. The system said, "Host can refresh the store. If you are lucky, you might be able to refresh the mission board and let the disciples accept the missions themselves." Chapter 169. The first time he gave out missions, Jun Changshao gathered the disciples and gave them out one by one because there weren't many missions. This time, there were more than 100 missions. It would be troublesome to give them out. At the crucial moment, the system mentioned the sect's mission board. The sect's mission board was a product that could automatically give out missions. It could be operated for 24 hours and the disciples could pick them up by themselves. The premise was that they had to be refreshed from the store. Is it hard to get? As long as the host has contribution points, it won't be a problem to get them. Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, "Aren't you talking nonsense? If I have endless contribution points, what can't I get?" "Unfortunately, you don't have endless contribution points," the system said. Jun Changshao was too lazy to care about it and muttered, "I have an ominous feeling that I will be cheated of a lot of contribution points." Sect Master. At this time, Elder Wei came to see him and said, "A sect can't only have one herbalist." "Elder Wei, what do you mean?" Jun Changshao asked. Elder Wei said, I want to pick a few suitable disciples in the sect and personally teach them how to plant medicinal herbs. Being hired as a herbalist only needed to plant medicinal herbs. Now that he was the head of the Iron Bone Medicine Hall, he had to fulfill his responsibilities. Jun Changshao said, "Tomorrow, I will gather the disciples and let Elder Wei choose them personally." Okay. Elder Wei left to plant medicinal herbs. Jun Changshao began to prepare for the dungeon trial 1 month later. He decided to take 25 disciples to Death Valley first. 7 inner disciples would definitely go. The other 10 disciples with middle-grade spiritual roots would also go. The rest would be filled by Zhou Hong, Long Xiang, and the others. Jun Changshao returned to the study and pulled out the beginner's store. When he refreshed at the vast Qi sect, he only looked at the green dragon crescent blade and began to compete with Qin Haran. He didn't have time to carefully look at the other items. Shwa! Suddenly, Jun Changshao stood up. In the second row of the item column, there was a magic-modified sniper rifle silencer. A sniper rifle with a silencer. This was the favorite item of gunners. Clicking on the detailed introduction, the content was that it was suitable for various kinds of magically modified sniper rifles. It could be used to silence the user after shooting. The price was 20 contribution points. Only 20 points. It's not expensive at all. Ding! The host has spent 20 contribution points and received a magically modified silencer X1. It has been transferred into the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 500500. After buying the silencer, Jun Changshao continued to browse through the products. Unfortunately, the rest of the products were useless. He continued to refresh. Ding! Sect contribution points, 490,500. The refresh this time was very unlucky. The products were all daily necessities, such as multifunctional toothbrushes and multifunctional soaps. Jun Changshao bought a multifunctional soap at the cheapest price of 10 contribution points. Needless to say, it had a lot of functions and could be used as shampoo or shower gel. Ding! Sect contribution points, 470,500. It refreshed again. Although most of the products this time were useless, there was an item called Body Technique Training Room that was worth buying. Its function was similar to a muscle building room and was mainly used to train body techniques. Jun Changshao bought it for 20 contribution points. Not only could he use it for himself, but he could also use it for Su Xiaoma and the other members of the Drizzle Hall to train their body techniques. Sect contribution points, 440,500. On the third refresh, his luck finally came. An item called Sect Mission Board appeared in the list of products. The system said, "Yes, yes." Jun Changshao happily clicked on the product introduction. The content was item, Sect Mission Board. Introduction: after activation, it will automatically match the system with sect missions. Disciples can click on sect missions to receive them. Price: 100 contribution points. So expensive? After seeing the price, Jun Changshao was a little speechless. The system said, the sect mission board can exempt the host from frequently giving out sect missions. It's worth buying even if it's expensive. That's true. Jun Changshao bought it for 100 contribution points. After spending like this, he was left with 340 contribution points. Jun Changshao came to the outer courtyard. He first placed the body technique training room next to the muscle building room. Then, he chose a bigger room and took out the sect mission board. The sect mission board was like a wall-mounted television. It was about 140 by 80 in length and width. Jun Changshao hung it 1 meter high on the wall. With a thought, he activated it. The screen instantly lit up, automatically matching sect missions and displaying them. There were not many missions. For the time being, there were only 20 types listed. There were small words at the bottom. The mission board refreshed at a fixed time every morning. Moreover, it was divided into individual and group missions. There were also mission difficulties and suggestions for cultivation base. What was even more interesting was that there was a mission completion ranking on the right. However, because no one had completed it, the ranking was currently empty. Pay attention, Jun Changshao said. He called Li Qingyang over and found someone to make a plaque. He hung it outside the room. From then on, Iron Bone had another mission pavilion. The next day, after morning exercises, Jun Changshao began to introduce the mission board in the mission pavilion in detail, as well as how to receive them. It was not too difficult. One could just click to receive a single mission. For group missions with a high number of stars and required a fixed number of people, the participating disciples could click to receive them separately. Many of the new disciples' eyes lit up when they heard that there would be various martial arts resources as rewards after completing the sect missions. After introducing the sect mission board, Elder Wei selected 5 disciples. To become a pharmacist, one did not need to have a high aptitude. One only needed to be careful and serious. I'll say it one last time. Jun Changshao said in a deep voice, do the sect missions according to your ability. Those who do not meet the requirements and cannot complete the mission within the time limit will be severely punished. Yes. OJ8K, disband. Swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, hundreds of disciples rushed into the mission pavilion. They crowded in front of the sect mission board and curiously looked at it. They had never seen such a TV-like thing. After a while, some disciples tried to use their fingers to click on a single mission. Then, the confirm and cancel buttons popped up. Confirm. Disciple Li Tian has received a 2-star sect mission. Deliver letters to the villagers of Qingyang village 5 times in 10 days. The prompt sounded abruptly in the mission pavilion. Everyone was shocked and retreated. That scared me to death. Does this count as receiving the mission? Ha ha ha. Li Tian squeezed out of the crowd and stood at the door. He waved at everyone and grinned. Senior and junior brothers, I'll go do the mission first. With that, he ran out quickly. Bang! As soon as he came out, he was hit by a ball of happiness. He flew into the air again and then fell into the greenery. Since Li Tian had started, the other disciples were eager to try. However, the sect leader had repeatedly reminded them, so they chose to accept the mission as much as possible. Senior brother Long, let's form a team and receive this 3-star mission, Li Yuhua said as she pointed at the mission board. Sure. Long Xiang had no objections. Ling Yuanxue lowered her head and said weakly, Senior brothers, can you bring me along? No problem. The 3 of them clicked confirm. The prompt sounded. Disciples Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Ling Yuanxue have received a 3-star sect mission. Head to Mount Huaqing to hunt subterranean beasts in 5 days. The subterranean beasts level was not too high. With their current cultivation levels, they could handle it. The difficult part was finding the mission target. Let's go. Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Ling Yuanxue set off. The other disciples, after careful consideration, accepted the mission according to the requirements. In just half an hour, more than 20 missions on the mission board had been accepted. Many disciples could only continue to cultivate and wait for the next day to refresh. Sitting in front of the stone railing in front of the main hall, Jun Changshao muttered, this mission board is really convenient. Chapter 170. Relying on the sect's mission board, the disciples could accept missions on their own. Jun Changshao did not need to release them one by one, which saved him a lot of trouble. Next, he called Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi over and gave them a bottle of aptitude-changing liquid according to their respective spiritual roots. The 3 who had tasted the sweetness immediately consumed it. Tian Qi and Li Fei's spiritual roots rose to the middle grade, and their cultivations also entered the 6th grade martial disciple realm. Su Xiaoma stepped into the top grade spiritual root, and his cultivation broke through to the 7th grade martial disciple realm. At this point, the number of people with top grade spiritual roots in the Iron Bones sect increased from 3 to 4. Although the sect was only an 8th-rate sect, it had already surpassed the 6th-rate vast Chi sect with 3 top-grade spiritual roots. With only top-grade spiritual roots, their overall strength was still far from being enough. "Thank you, Sect Master." Su Xiaoma and the other two cupped their hands and said. Jun Changshao said, "Continue to work hard in your cultivation. 1 month later, I will bring you to Death Valley for training." The three who were originally quite happy immediately froze when they heard the words Death Valley. "What's wrong?" Jun Changshao asked. Su Xiaoma said in shock, "Sect Master, Death Valley is the forbidden area of Azure Sun County. It is said that high-level beasts comparable to Wuzong can be found everywhere inside." Tian Qi and Li Fei's eyes were also filled with fear. The three of them had heard of the various terrifying aspects of Death Valley from their elders since they were young, and it created a lingering psychological shadow. Not only them. When the martial artists of Azure Sun County heard of Death Valley, their expressions also changed. Forbidden area. It was not a joke. Jun Changshao said, "It is because of the difficulty that I will bring you there for training. This way, you can increase your strength. Wasn't it just to complete the epic mission?" He made it sound like he had put in a lot of effort. "If Sect Master says we will go, then we will go." Su Xiaoma expressed his stance. Tian Qi and Li Fei also agreed. Psychological shadow. Overcome it. The one with the biggest reaction was still Li Qingyang. When he found out about this, he almost fell to the ground. "Sect Master," Li Qingyang said with a solemn expression, "Death Valley is filled with ferocious beasts. Without Wuzong's cultivation, it's already good enough that 2 or 3 out of 10 people who go in come out alive. So dangerous? Extremely dangerous." Jun Changshao rubbed his chin and smiled. "The more dangerous it is, the more challenging it will be. Prepare well, we'll head to the Death Valley in a month." Li Qingyang was silent. As a disciple, he would not go against the sect master's decision. He followed the instructions and gathered the 10 middle-grade aptitude junior brothers and began to arrange for special training. Jun Changshao also knew that Death Valley was fraught with danger, and he could not treat the lives of his disciples as a joke. Therefore, he began to provide them with a large number of energy-gathering pills, hoping that they could reach a higher level within a month. "You can't leave out the secondary tank either. That brat Li Yuhua's body is fine. Let Zui Ji take him through special training. When the time comes, he can be used to fight monsters." Li Qingyang trained 10 disciples with middle-grade spiritual roots, and Xiao Ziji trained Li Yuhua individually. Everything was arranged properly. Next, when they finished their training, they would head to the Death Valley to fight in the dungeon. As for the other disciples, Jun Changshao could not ignore them. Due to the suppression of their levels, he personally went to train them. First, he set a small goal. In a short period of time, let the new disciples all break through to stage 12 meridian opening, and even become martial disciples. Many meridian opening pills would not be a problem. The selected disciples began to undergo special training for the trial in the Death Valley in a month. The new disciples cultivated under Jun Changshao's guidance. Elder Wei also cultivated 5 disciples while planting high-grade herbs. The sect was thriving. On the 3rd day, Li Luoqiu brought people back to the sect. Sect Master. In the study, Hall Master Li placed a spatial ring on the table and said with a smile, "The Shao family's mine collapsed and seized a few 100,000 taels of iron." Jun Changshao said, "That's right. If the mine collapsed, the Shao family could dig it out again. However, this would consume more resources and manpower, and they would also suffer heavy losses in a short period of time. I have installed a type of equipment in the training room that can improve one's movement technique. When you have time, let the members of the Drizzle Hall cultivate there." Jun Changshao said. Equipment to improve one's movement technique? Filled with curiosity, Li Luoqiu came to the training room and saw that there was another tent beside the molding room. There was a light flickering on it, and it was obvious that someone was training inside. Time ended. The door of the movement technique training room opened, and Su Xiaomao walked out with a swollen face. Then, he fell down with a plop, and white foam came out of his mouth. Li Luoqiu touched her chin and said, "It seems a little scary." As she said that, she walked into the movement technique training room. What appeared in front of her was a spacious space. The moment the door closed, her body started to run uncontrollably. It was a little like a treadmill, but the difference was that when Li Luoqiu started running, numerous hidden weapons flew from all directions, forcing her to choose to dodge. An hour later, the time in the training room ended, and Li Luoqiu walked out with sweat all over her head. Her slender legs were trembling violently, and she said while panting, too scary. Shao family. When the great elder found out that the few direct descendants of the Shao family who were in charge of supervising the work had gone missing and that the mine had collapsed, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The loss of business with the AI family was still bearable, but the collapse of the mine, which was the family's biggest source of income, was definitely a fatal blow. It was already good enough that he didn't faint on the spot. Damn it, who did it? First, the elegant residence was burned down, then the AI family cut off business with us, and now the mine collapsed for no reason. There must be someone behind this. The upper echelons of the Shao family were all furious. The industries that supported the family's economy were continuously damaged. This was very fatal for a family, and it was definitely unbearable. Think about it, losing the supply of goods was equivalent to losing the funds. Without funds, how could they buy martial arts resources and allow the direct descendants to maintain their normal cultivation? The news of the AI family cutting off business and the collapse of the mine quickly spread in Liang City. The martial artists who originally guessed that the fire in the elegant residence might be a coincidence immediately believed that they had offended someone and had been arranged properly. Who arranged it? Many people were thinking, and all kinds of guesses were spreading in Liang City. The Bei family and the Shao family have always had grudges. In my opinion, the possibility of the Bei family secretly causing trouble is very high. The Zhang family and the Wang family had a conflict with the Shao family a few years ago because of the iron mine. These two families are also very likely. The martial artists were constantly discussing, and the matter continued to ferment. All kinds of guesses were spreading, and if they were all categorized, almost all the big and small families in Liang City had a motive. At first, the Bei family didn't pay attention to the rumors outside. After all, they didn't do it, and there was nothing to be afraid of. But after the direct descendants of the Shao family heard about it, they subconsciously believed that the Bei family was secretly causing trouble. Thus, when they met the direct descendants of the Bei family on the street, they couldn't see eye to eye and immediately had a dispute. In the end, it evolved into a fight. Just like that, the originally peaceful Liang City had become a scene of exciting fights almost every day because the two families had brought their conflicts out in the open. Many suspicious families were also implicated, causing the city to become extremely chaotic. The person who spread all kinds of rumors, Great Sect Master Jun, was sitting in the study listening to Li Luoqiu's report. He grinned and said, "This is called gossip is a fearful thing." Chapter 171. The rumors in Liang City were all deliberately spread by Jun Changshao under the orders of the Drizzle Hall members. Even when the Bei family and Shao family's direct descendants met, they would sometimes play tricks in the dark, causing the two sides to have conflicts and fight. Cutting off their source of income and letting the Shao family make enemies everywhere, this was Jun Changshao's entire plan. After accepting the mission of letting the members spread rumors and play tricks in the dark, Li Luoqiu once said, "Are you the devil?" She dealt with her enemies straightforwardly. She would never dream of Jun Changshao's various methods. Sometimes, Li Luoqiu thought, if she didn't come out at that time and hid in the headquarters with the members, the final outcome would definitely be arranged by this guy. So, he was the devil. Let's stop targeting the Shao family for now, just keep an eye on them, Jun Changshao said. Who's the next target? Li Luoqiu asked. Jun Changshao spread his hands and said, "My iron bone isn't an enemy of the entire world, why would I have so many enemies to target?" He really didn't want to be in the limelight, nor did he want to offend others for the sake of acting cool. If no one provoked him, he just wanted to quietly nurture his disciples, develop the sect, and become stronger step by step. When he had nothing to do, he would lead his disciples to sing and dance, or take them on outings and barbecues in the wild after boring cultivation. This idea was good. But Jun Changshao understood that reality was cruel. Because where there was Jianghu, there would be grudges. Unless you were so strong that no one dared to provoke you. Li Luoqiu smiled and said, "Does Haoqi sect not count?" "You don't say." Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "Alliance Master Qin has suffered such a big setback, he must be holding a grudge, maybe you will jump out one day to show his existence." So, Sect Master plans to deal with it as it comes. Qin Haoran must hate him. Jun Changshao couldn't be so arrogant as to destroy a sixth-rate sect. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. If the enemy moves, I'll greet them with a brick. Because of all kinds of rumors, the conflict between the Shao family and the other families became more and more intense. In the end, they alarmed the city lord, who dragged them to the city lord's mansion and gave them a harsh lecture. Although the various great clans had become well-behaved, they had formed a greater grudge against the Shao clan. If there was any conflict in the future, it would definitely explode. They couldn't destroy the Shao clan. Just like that, it caused a great disturbance. This was Jun Changxiao's real goal. Judging from the current situation, it was clear that he had succeeded. Thus, he ordered the Drizzle Hall to keep an eye on the situation at all times and focus on training the disciples. Pass the ball, pass the ball. On the training field, after Su Xiaoma and Li Fei finished their training, they organized a friendly soccer match with their junior brothers. Unless it was necessary to undergo special training, Jun Changshao had always emphasized to his disciples that they had to be relaxed and moderate in their cultivation. It was also appropriate for them to have some spare time activities to cultivate their temperament. Swish Li Fei made a long pass in the midfield. The happy ball dragged an arc and greeted Jun Changshao, who had just walked out. But in the end, it was caught by him with one hand. "Come." Jun Changshao walked into the training field in high spirits and said, "I will play with you guys for a while." The corners of Su Xiaoma and the others' mouths twitched. With the sect leader's strength, if he couldn't control his strength and kick them, they would definitely become Li Tian Tian. "Aya." Li Yuhua suddenly clutched his stomach and said, it hurts, I need to go to the toilet." As he said that, he was about to slip away, but he had only taken 2 steps when the happy ball hit his head. He heard Jun Changshao say, "Yuhua, go and guard the goal." "Oh." Li Yuhua rubbed his head and walked back, but he heard the sect leader say again, "Come back, it's to guard the opposite goal." "Ah." "Begin." As a striker, sect leader Jun showed off after he got the ball, then passed the defenders and charged into the penalty area. He raised his leg and shot. Swish, the ball carried the force, dragging an arc and flying towards the goal. Li Yuhua, who was in charge of guarding the goal, didn't make a save. Instead, he turned around and ran to the side, leaving a big gap. It wasn't that he didn't have the awareness of a goalkeeper, but that the happy ball wasn't going towards the goal, but towards him. Boom! Li Yuhua was one step too slow and was hit by the ball. His body was sent into the goal. "Yeah!" Jun Changshao raised his peace sign to celebrate. But no teammates came to celebrate, because they all stood in place with twitching mouths. "Sect leader, this is a one-man show." The game continued. Jun Changshao was like Ronaldo. As long as he touched the ball, he would move past the defenders and shoot. As the goalkeeper, Li Yuhua only had one task, and that was not to guard the goal, but to think of ways to escape the tragic fate of being hit by the ball. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape at all. When the score increased to 7 o'clock, the disciples on the field looked at Li Yuhua, who was kicked into the goal 7 times in a row, and their mouths almost became crooked. How was the sect leader playing football? He was clearly kicking people. "Hey!" Jun Changshao shouted, don't just stand there like idiots, let's play together. Su Xiaoma and the others were about to cry. Sect leader, from the beginning until now, you have scored 7 goals, and we teammates haven't even touched the ball once. How can we play happily like this? Swish! Jun Changshao passed the ball to Su Xiaoma, who immediately recovered from his mental breakdown. He dribbled the ball all the way into the penalty area and kicked Li Yuhua. He and the ball went into the goal together. Damn it! He finally found the feeling of playing football. Bang! 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 Sect leader Jun began to cooperate with his teammates. All kinds of long passes and straight passes appeared frequently, and he scored wonderful goals again and again. The most valiant thing was that this guy took the ball in the backfield. When he saw an opening, he lifted his leg and shot. The ball flew close to the ground and hit Li Yuhua. Both the man and the ball drilled into the goal again. Super, world-class ball. Li Yuhua, who was kneeling in the goal and catching the ball with his abdomen, said while foaming at the mouth, I think it can still be saved, plop. He fell to the ground and fainted. Jun Changshao shook his head and said, his physical strength is not enough. He needs more rigorous training. Do you think the sect leader is so bored that he is playing football? No, he is specially training Li Yuhua to not only become a qualified secondary tank, but also a flexible secondary tank. I have sinned. Jun Changshao said loudly, this kid's physical training needs to be doubled. Yes. Xiao Ziji, who was acting as a spectator, said. Su Xiaoma, from tomorrow onwards, organize a football match every day. Li Yuhua will be the goalkeeper. Yes. After arranging everything, Jun Changshao came to the door of the training room. Lin Jianghang, Cui Bujian, and a few other new disciples were sitting on the stairs. They all had a hopeless expression on their faces. This was a normal operation. If the disciples who joined Iron Bone for the first few days could still be happy after experiencing all kinds of hellish experiences, there was only one possibility: they had been tortured to the point of insanity. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and smiled, how do you feel? Cui Bujian tried hard to raise his head. His teeth bit his lower lip, and bean-sized tears dripped down. He cried, Sect leader, I miss home. This is your home, Yi Zichen said. Lin Jianghang, Cui Bujian, and the others suddenly burst into tears. They howled in their hearts, Sect leader, it must be the devil. Chapter 172. Li Yuhua had just finished a 3-star mission with Long Xiang and Ling Yuanxue when he came back and was beaten up by sect leader Jun. What was even more tragic was that Xiao Ziji also increased the difficulty of his physical body. That night, he trained in the molding room for 8 hours before coming out. After dawn, he wanted to go to sleep after eating, but was pulled by Su Xiaoma to play football. Everyone understood the sect leader's intention. When the game started, no one kicked the goal, but only him. Just like that, Li Yuhua began his bitter life. Although the process was painful, the speed of his growth was very significant. After a few days, his physical body and reaction had improved by leaps and bounds. Now, if Su Xiaoma and the others wanted to kick him, they had to add a lot of strength to their feet. He was not the only one cultivating. Under Li Qingyang's lead, the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples also consumed the energy-gathering pills and cultivated in the spiritual power array. Lu Qianqian, Yi Xingchen and the others had their own cultivation plans. As for the sect mission, 7 days had passed since the day it was released. The first disciple to receive the mission had already completed it. The other disciples followed one after another, completing more than 20 missions in total. Jun Changshao opened the data panel. His achievement value had increased from 100 to 200, and his contribution value had increased from 340 to 440. There were still many missions. If he completed all of them, his contribution value would definitely overflow. So, he spent another 100 contribution points to buy 2 bottles of middle-grade transformation liquid. Then, he called Tian Qi and Li Fei over. He wanted to continue improving. Gulp. Tian Qi and Li Fei took the high-grade transformation liquid. Their spiritual root quality broke through from middle grade to high grade, and their realm entered the 7th grade martial disciple realm. At this point, all 7 inner disciples had high-grade spiritual roots. An 8th grade sect had 7 disciples with high-grade spiritual roots. If this news spread to the Jianghu, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. When he was in the Haoqi sect, Jun Changshao bought 2 bottles of transformation liquid. When the members were full, he bought 4 more bottles and gave one to Su Xiaoma and the other 2. So, he still had 3 bottles in his hand. Who should he give them to? After pondering for a moment, Zhang Xian called Li Yuhua over and passed her 2 bottles of mortal tier and middle tier forging solution respectively. This kid's physique was very good. Once his aptitude increased and he entered Death Valley, they would definitely expect him to stand in front of them and taunt them. After Li Yuhua drank the 2 bottles of aptitude reforming elixir, her spirit root was upgraded to the middle grade, and her realm broke through from stage 9 to stage 12. She stood rooted to the ground, dumbstruck. Anyone would have such an expression on their face when their spiritual root and cultivation levels suddenly increased. Jun Changshao patted him on the shoulder and said, "Cultivate well. Don't disappoint this king's expectations of you." Li Yuhua regained her senses and shouted loudly, "Yes." As for the last bottle of mortal grade aptitude reforming liquid, Jun Changshao decided to give it to the shy Ling Yuanxue. Firstly, she had been training very hard during this period of time, and secondly, there were very few female disciples in the sect. Everything was settled. For the rest of the time, he would wait for the disciples to complete all the sect missions so that their achievement value would reach the maximum. Then, he would come to upgrade the sect. Level 2 will open the alchemy pavilion. There will be healing pills and forging pills sold in the shop. Level 3 will open the forging pavilion. Will I be able to forge weapons? Jun Changshao was looking forward to it. 7 days later, the disciples completed all the sect missions, and their achievement value increased from the initial 100 to the maximum of 500. It could be said that Zhang Xian was very precise. He was not willing to give even a single point more. Obtaining 400 achievement value meant that they would definitely obtain 400 contribution value as well. When it was about to overflow, Jun Changshao spent 180 points to buy a Type 88 sniper rifle, an 8x scope, shoulder pads, and a silencer. Thank you, sect leader. Receiving the Type 88 sniper rifle equipped with an 8x scope and silencer, Li Luoqiu caressed it lovingly. During this period of time, she had fulfilled her responsibilities, so it could be considered a reward. Jun Changshao laughed, "This god-powered handgun has been modified. After firing, there won't be any movement." "Is that so?" Li Luoqiu took the Type 88 sniper rifle and came to the back of the mountain. She had fired 2 shots before, so she knew how powerful it was. So after loading the bullets, she obediently put on the modified shoulder pads. Shoo! Shoo! 2 silent shots were fired. Hanging on a distant tree, 2 adjacent fruits were shattered. This woman's shooting talent was not worse than Xiao Ziji's. In fact, it was even better. There really isn't any sound. Li Luoqiu opened her eyes wide. With a normal silencer, one could still hear some movement. But with the modified silencer, there was only a slight sound. It was definitely useful for a sneak attack. Li Luoqiu immediately liked it even more. She wanted to go down the mountain, find an enemy, and then hide in a dark place and kill them with a shot. In the study, Jun Changshao rubbed his hands and opened the status panel. He saw the "Can Upgrade" button appear behind the Sect Construction, Level 2. Click. Ding. Sect Construction upgraded to Level 3. Ding. Sect members, contribution value, and achievement value limit increased. Ding. Sect Smithing Pavilion opened. When the notification sounded, the data panel changed greatly. Sect name, Iron Bone Clan. Sect leader, Jun Changshao. Sect level, 8th rate. Sect construction, level 3. Sect function, medicine refining pavilion, smithing pavilion. Sect skill, Jing, divine grade low level, self/, middle grade low level, rupturing fist, mortal grade high level. Sect members, 5001000. Sect contribution value, 4501000. Sect achievement value, 01000. Sect mission, none. Sect main mission, within 100 years, the number limit finally broke 1,000. Jun Changshao laughed, but his laughter soon turned into tears as he howled, "Motherfucker, I'm still short of 99,000, 1,099,000. And, the difference was not small. No matter what, upgrading the sect to level 3 was equivalent to taking another step forward. It was something worth being happy about. Shwa! Jun Changshao clicked on the newly appeared smithing pavilion. A small panel popped up and a 3D projection of a smithing table appeared. There were 3 weapons listed below. One was the low-grade cold-edge sword, the second was the high-grade overlord spear, and the third was the high-grade iron shield. As expected, it's the same as the alchemy pavilion. Jun Changshao said happily, this smithing pavilion also has the low-grade store weapons that can be forged. He clicked on the low-grade cold-edge sword and a small panel popped up. The content was weapon, low-grade cold-edge sword. Material, 0, 1 kg cold iron, 0, 1 kg ice spring water. Fire seed, exquisite fire. There are only so few materials. Jun Changshao said in shock. Most of the pills in the alchemy pavilion required 3 to 4 types of herbs. The cold-edge sword required 500 kilograms of cold iron and a bucket of ice spring water. The system said, other than high-level and special weapons that require many types of ores, most of them only require one type of ore. Jun Changshao held his chin and muttered, this cold iron is probably not cheap. As he said that, he clicked on the high-grade overlord spear's introduction. This was even simpler. It only required 500 kilograms of obsidian. Jun Changshao then clicked on the low-grade iron shield and suddenly grinned. Because the material required was iron ore. He did not have any cold iron or obsidian, but he had a lot of iron ore. After Li Luoqiu took care of the Shao family's mine, she brought a lot of it. It was worth a few 100,000 taels. From the amount shown, it was enough to forge 1,000 iron shields. Jun Changshao said, this ore is useless anyway. Let's forge 500 shields first and give one to each disciple. The system reminded, iron ore is an indispensable auxiliary ore for forging weapons and equipment. It is recommended that the host use it sparingly. Is that so? Jun Changshao thought for a while and said, then let's forge 25 first. When we go to Death Valley, let the disciples all equip them. Chapter 173. Equipment in the Foundry Pavilion, as long as there are enough materials and fire seeds, can also be easily forged in one click. However, when Jun Changshao forged the first solid iron shield, it took him half an hour, so he broke down, so slow. The system said, if this sentence is heard by the professional foundry master of the Falling Star continent, they will definitely smash the host's head with a brick. Why? Jun Changshao asked. The system explained, a professional foundry master needs at least 2 days to forge the lowest grade equipment, from smelting ores to repeatedly hammering. The host finished it in half an hour and still thinks it is slow, it will definitely irritate them. Oh. Jun Changshao whispered, compared to 2 days, it is indeed not slow. Not only is it not slow, it is simply too fast. Shwa! With a thought, he took out the first-grade solid iron shield. It is a more conventional round shield, the size is similar to an ordinary pot lid, although it is made of iron ore, it is very light. There is a grip in the center of the shield. The shield is black outside, there is a groove in the center. With the experience of loading bullets, Jun Changshao immediately judged, this shield can be integrated with crystal core energy. Smart. The system said. Jun Changshao continued to let the foundry pavilion forge the second shield, then took out a low-grade crystal core and integrated the energy into the groove. After the energy was filled, streams of light spread out from the center, finally outlining a pattern similar to the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. At first glance, it seems to be coated with fluorescent powder. Cool. Jun Changshao said. As soon as the voice fell, the streams of light suddenly weakened. Although the pattern was still on the shield, the color had turned gray. Jun Changshao said, "What's the situation?" The system said, "The host can pick up the shield and inject his mind into it to activate the defense function." Defense function? Jun Changshao put his palm on the inner grip of the shield, communicating with the shield with his mind. Wang! As soon as he touched it, a circular barrier similar to a formation barrier appeared, close to the front of the shield. Looking at the light barrier protecting him, Jun Changshao was shocked. This is super cool. But how is the defense? The system said, the solid iron shield activates the defensive barrier, the defense strength is quite high. At this moment, Li Luoqiu walked in and asked, "Sect leader, what is this?" Shield, Jun Changshao said. Of course, Li Luoqiu knew that it was a shield disc. She pointed at the flowing light barrier, which looked both real and illusory, and said, "I'm talking about this. Why does it look a bit like a formation?" Jun Changshao said, "Defensive barrier. Come, come." He raised his shield and turned around. "Take out your desert eagle and try shooting at my shield." Li Luoqiu laughed and said, "What if I break it and injure the sect leader?" "I can't break it," Jun Changshao said. "For real? You're serious?" "All right." Li Luoqiu raised her hand, and the desert eagle appeared out of thin air. Crack! He loaded the gun, aimed it at the defensive barrier, and fired without hesitation. Hall Master Li, who used to be an assassin, was clean and efficient. However, when she fired the gun, her bright eyes were filled with surprise, because the bullet hit the defensive barrier and did not cause any damage at all. "How is it?" Jun Changshao said, "The defense is not bad, right?" Li Luoqiu said in surprise, "Sect leader, is your shield a mid-grade high-grade defensive treasure?" Jun Changshao did not understand the quality of the low-grade solid iron shield, so he could only cooperate and said, "Yes, it's a mid-grade high-grade." "No wonder." Li Luoqiu blinked and said with a smile, "Sect leader, do you have a lot of shields? If you do, give a few to our drizzle hall." Jun Changshao withdrew his consciousness, and the defensive barrier disappeared. He said, "We'll see how it goes in the future." "All right." Li Luoqiu shrugged. "Why are you looking for me?" Jun Changshao asked. Li Luoqiu said, "The vast Qi sect sent a message that Qin Haoran left Azure Sun County. From the direction, it seems that he went to the Holy Spring sect." Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, "This guy suffered a big setback. Could it be that he wants to go to the Holy Spring sect to invite experts?" Li Luoqiu said, "That's possible." Jun Changshao shook his head and refuted his own conjecture. "We have a duel with the Sacred Spring sect. If they claim to be a great sect, they definitely won't send experts here, because this will give people a reason to gossip." "That's true," Li Luoqiu said. The entire Azure Sun County knew about the duel. The Holy Spring sect would definitely have some scruples. Otherwise, they would continue to send people to cause trouble after the Spirit Spring Mountain. Jun Chang said with a smile, "In my opinion, Alliance Master Qin's trip this time is to ask the Sacred Spring sect to take care of our Iron Bone sect during the battle. Will a fifth-rate sect listen to a sixth-rate sect?" Li Luoqiu said. "They have a mouth under their nose and they make up their own content." Jun Changshao said, "What's more, if Alliance Master Qin gives some benefits, the Holy Spring sect may be willing to accept." Li Luoqiu frowned slightly. "So, if we go to the Holy Spring sect, the situation will become more troublesome." "It doesn't matter." Jun Changshao didn't care. In his opinion, Qin Haoran's methods were nothing. The Spirit Spring Sect's methods were hateful and abominable. The forging pavilion worked non-stop for the whole night and forged another 24 shields. Although the hard iron shield was good, it needed crystal cores to form a barrier. Moreover, after taking a blow from the Desert Eagle, it consumed 1/10 of its energy. This meant that once the energy was exhausted, the defensive barrier would lose its effectiveness. Jun Changshao murmured, after entering Death Valley, the disciples can use it to defend against the attacks of the beasts. The next day, he summoned 25 disciples. Not counting the inner disciples and the 10 high-grade spiritual roots, the other 8 disciples were Zhou Hong, Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, Ling Yuanxue, and others. Jun Changshao distributed the shields one by one, then gave each of them a crystal core. After briefly explaining how to inject energy, he said, unless it's a critical moment, don't easily activate the defensive barrier to block. Yes! All the disciples shouted. He didn't give Zhou Hong a shield because this guy would definitely use a sword and not a shield. TSK, I'm a martial emperor, why would I use such a crude shield for defense? Yi Xingqian despised the hard iron shield very much. After all, in his previous life, he had never used a shield similar to the one used by mortal soldiers. Just imagine, a martial emperor who could fly and cover the sky with one hand, how degrading would it be to carry an iron shield? Why would I use such a crude thing? Back in the room, Yi Xingqian casually threw the hard iron shield in a corner. Outside, Su Xiaoma integrated the crystal core into the shield and activated the defensive barrier. He exclaimed, "This shield is so powerful." TSK, Yi Xingqian snorted coldly. But when he turned around, he glanced at the defensive barrier outside the window and said in shock, "This is a defensive treasure." Weapons were nothing more than sabers, spears, swords, and halberds. Treasures were more complicated. For example, Buddhist beads, seals, or even a seemingly ordinary bracelet could be called a treasure as long as it had special functions. A ring with storage space was also a treasure. The hard iron shield could activate the defensive barrier function, which meant that it was also a treasure. In the Falling Star continent, defensive and offensive treasures were more valuable than weapons of the same quality. Yi Xingqian hurriedly picked up the shield in the corner and poured the crystal core into it. When the defensive barrier was activated, he exclaimed, "A middle-grade high-grade defensive treasure." A low-grade hard iron shield was defined as a middle-grade high-grade. In terms of value, it was definitely comparable to a high-grade low-grade weapon. Yi Xingqian wasn't shocked by the quality, but by the fact that the sect leader had taken out 24 defensive treasures of this level. This guy was really something. Chapter 174. The disciple took the shield and left, leaving Ling Yuanxue alone. In the study, only she and Jun Changshao were left. Ling Yuanxue kept her head down, her small hands trembling slightly. This was the first time she was alone with the sect master. She was shy to begin with, so she must be very nervous now. Suddenly, there was a sound. Ling Yuanxue was startled and unconsciously took 2 steps back. Jun Changshao saw this and was speechless. I just put the aptitude reforming liquid on the table and she got scared. She's too timid. Yuanxue. He held his chin and said, "What's your dream?" Why did the sect master ask about her dream again? Ling Yuanxue whispered, My dream is to cultivate martial arts and prove to you stinky. No, prove to all stinky men except the sect master. Jun Changshao said seriously, cultivating martial arts is not to prove to others, but to prove to yourself. Do you understand? Understood. Jun Changshao slammed the table and said sternly, louder. Ling Yuanxue was almost scared to tears. She closed her eyes and said loudly, understood. Jun Changshao's tone became gentle. Cultivating martial arts is about courage. When we go to Death Valley, I hope to see your brave and strong side. Understood. Ling Yuanxue said. Jun Changshao said, drink this bottle of liquid. Oh. Ling Yuanxue walked over step by step, then picked up the bottle of aptitude reforming liquid, opened the cork, and drank it. After a while, her face became incomparably red. Her spiritual root aptitude went from low grade to mortal grade, and her cultivation also went from level 10 to level 12. Ling Yuanxue stood there with her almond-shaped eyes. After each of the 24 disciples was equipped with an iron shield, Jun Changshao ordered them to continue their cultivation in order to prepare for the trip to Death Valley. As for Qingyang County, they were still talking about the Iron Bone Sect's victory over the Grand Qi Sect. It was not until another big news spread that the limelight was overshadowed. What big news? 7 days later, the AI family auctioned off the body-shaping pills. This kind of elixir that could enhance one's physical strength had already spread around when Iron Bone went to challenge the Noble Spirit Gate. Then, it suddenly disappeared, and many people had almost forgotten about it. He could forget about it last time, but not this time. Because after the AI family confirmed the date of the auction, they carried out a large-scale publicity campaign. All kinds of praises and advertisements were used, giving people a feeling that it was very exaggerated. It was even more exaggerated. The AI clan's auction this time was different from the past. They directly announced the starting price of the body-shaping pill. How much? The starting price was 1 million taels. 1 million taels? That's too exaggerated. Even if a high-grade medicinal pill were to be auctioned, it wouldn't be able to fetch such a price. It's too extravagant. I can't afford it. If Jun Changshao were to be auctioned, the starting price would be 1 million taels of silver. Many martial artists would definitely think that Jun Changshao was crazy for money. However, the AI family was different. After all, they were an old and established family. Previously, they even had healing pills. When many martial artists heard of this news, they unanimously agreed that the effects of the body sculpting pill must be incomparably miraculous. If AI Shangyan used Iron Bone's disciple defeating the Noble Spirit Gate's disciple to advertise, it would cause an even bigger sensation. However, sect leader Jun didn't authorize it, so he didn't dare to use it as a gimmick. 1 million taels of silver was already a huge gimmick. The large clans and sects in Azure Sun County that trusted the AI family enough naturally started to raise funds after receiving the news. Jun Changshao also received the news and laughed. The starting price is 1 million taels of silver. If the auction starts, I don't dare to imagine the final price. Li Luoqiu said, the body-shaping pills refined by the sect leader are very important to martial artists. With the AI family's help, those 4 body-shaping pills will probably fetch a sky-high price. Jun Changshao continued to develop in the sect. He wasn't interested in participating in the upcoming auction, mainly because he didn't want to show his face in public. Instead, he wanted to wait behind the scenes to collect money. 7 days later, the auction was held as scheduled. Because the AI family clearly stated that the body-shaping pills were only for martial artists in Azure Sun County, the other county forces only casually sent people to join in the fun when they heard the news. Everyone. Inside the auction house, AI Shang stood on the auction stage and said, I believe all of you already know the effects of the body-shaping pills even if I don't tell you. So, let's begin the auction. Shwa! He opened the brocade box and said loudly, the starting price of the first body-shaping pill is 1 million taels of silver. 1,100,000 taels. 1,200,000 taels. The intense bidding began. All the large clans and sects went all out. After all, there were only 4 body-shaping pills, which were even rarer than the healing pills. After the auction ended, the news was passed to Iron Bone. Jun Changshao learned that the 4 healing pills were sold for 10 million taels of silver. Only 2,500,000 taels of silver per pill. He shook his head and said, it doesn't seem too high. Li Luoqiu said, the AI family's auction this time is limited to Azure Sun County. They didn't allow any other county forces to participate. It's already good that they managed to sell it for 10 million taels of silver. That's true. Jun Changshao felt relieved. 10 million taels of silver was split 40 to 60. He could earn 4 million taels of silver. This was like picking up money. That wasn't all. After the body-shaping pills, the AI family continued to auction the healing pills. Although the other county forces didn't participate and the 10 healing pills couldn't reach the price of 6 million taels of silver, they still managed to sell for 4 million taels of silver. The AI family did this to take care of the other county forces so that they wouldn't complain all day. Sect Master Li Qingyang reported, "The AI family head is here to visit again." Actually, it would be more appropriate to say, the AI family head is here to give money again. After AI Shangyao entered the main hall, he first handed over 6 million taels of silver. Jun Changshao liked to work with the AI family, so he directly gave them 50 bottles of healing pills and 10 bottles of body-shaping pills. When AI Shangyao received the money, his hands started to tremble uncontrollably. With so many pills, the profit they could earn from auctioning them off every once in a while was unimaginable. Pay 10 times the penalty to the Shao family? Bullshit. As long as they could form a good relationship with Sect Master Jun, they wouldn't care even if they had to pay 20 times the penalty. AI Shangyao left happily and began to plan for a bigger auction. On the way, he had already decided that the next auction would be open to the public and the healing pills would not be limited to Azure Sun County. The matter of the auction gradually faded away with the passage of time. With the help of the craftsmen, the renovation of the outer courtyard of the Iron Bones sect had also been completed. The grounds had become bigger and there were more pavilions. Especially the main hall, which had been renovated to be even more majestic and dazzling. The foundation of a sect was all in the main hall. Therefore, after challenging the vast Qi sect, Li Qingyang focused all his energy on the main hall. Why? Because the outer courtyard grounds and pavilions could be expanded and built at will, but the main hall had to remain in place. Therefore, if he wanted to renovate it, he had to do it in one step. Li Qingyang's idea was very correct. After the main hall was renovated twice, it would be a long time before it was renovated again. Not bad, not bad. Standing in the incomparably spacious and majestic main hall, Jun Changshao smiled with satisfaction. Sect Master, Li Qingyang said, "This disciple has already drawn up the blueprint for a larger scale renovation. We can carry out the third renovation at any time. This is very good. We will talk about it after the third renovation." Jun Changshao paused for a moment and said, "Pass down the order. Let the specially trained disciples have a good night's rest. We will set off for Death Valley tomorrow." Chapter 175. There were still more than 10 days left before the 2-month time limit set by the epic mission. Death Valley was quite far away, and they would have to travel for a while. Therefore, Jun Changshao decided to set off tomorrow. The 25 disciples had improved quite well, especially the 10 middle-grade disciples, all of whom had become 5th-grade martial disciples. Because there weren't many 10-fold Qi-gathering pills, they took the quintuple ones, so their speed couldn't be compared to Li Qingyang and the others who went to Haoqi sect for training. If he had joined the other sects during the 100 sects recruitment, it would have been his limit to enter the martial disciple stage from the meridian opening stage. Therefore, the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples were very content and grateful. Long Xiang and Li Yuhua also improved quite well. One became a 5th-grade martial disciple, and the other became a 4th-grade martial disciple. Especially Li Yuhua, after a month of training, not only did he cultivate a strong physical defense, but he also became very agile. Su Xiaoma and the others wanted to kick him with a football, so they had to use at least 70 to 80% of their strength. After Ling Yuanxue took the aptitude-changing liquid, she relied on the Qi revolving pill to break through to martial disciple, and later on, she became a 3rd-grade martial disciple. These were all outer sect disciples. Although the 7 inner sect disciples didn't have the 10-fold Qi-gathering pills, their improvement in the past month was quite good. Yi Xingqian became a 9th-grade martial disciple, the same as Li Qingyang. Su Xiaoma, Li Fei, and Tian Qi were all 8th-grade martial disciples, and Xiao Ziji was a 6th-grade martial disciple. As for Lu Chanshan, in her words, she was a fourth-grade martial disciple. She was able to turn her spiritual power into small fists in Haoqi sect, so no one thought that her strength was only a fourth-grade martial disciple. Of course. In the past month, the other disciples also improved quite well. Disciples with average aptitudes like Li Tiantian and Sima Zhongda also became second-grade and third-grade martial disciples. The last batch of disciples entered the 10th stage of the Meridian Opening Realm with the help of Yi Jin Jing, Body Tempering Pill, and Meridian Opening Pill. They weren't far from all 12th stage martial disciples. Could they raise the sect's level? They couldn't. The certification requirements for a 7th grade sect were, the Sect Master, 50 martial disciples, and 500 12th stage Meridian Opening Realm disciples. Just based on the first point, he failed. Therefore, Jun Changshao had to complete the epic quest no matter what so that he could become a martial master. Moreover, based on the first mission he completed, if he completed the second epic mission, he might directly break through to the next realm. The next day, after the 25 disciples ate the breakfast prepared by Lu Wancher, they left the Iron Bone under the lead of Jun Changshao. After the other disciples saw him off, they continued to cultivate. They hoped that they could become stronger faster so that they could follow their senior brothers out to gain experience in the future. Li Luoqiu oversaw the sect. However, after watching Jun Changshao and the others leave, he said to himself, Death Valley is full of danger. I hope I can return safely. Death Valley was notorious. She had brought so many people there to train. It was hard for her not to think that some of her disciples might never return. Scared? On the way, Jun Changshao said, I'm not afraid. The disciples shouted in unison. Even though they knew that this trip would be extremely dangerous, they weren't afraid in the slightest, because they had steel bones. Death Valley was in the south of Azure Sun County. It was at least 1,000 miles away from Azure Sun City. As there was still plenty of time, Jun Changshao wasn't in a hurry. Occasionally, they would stop to admire the beautiful scenery when they passed by. It had to be said that in a world full of spiritual energy, the scenery in the wilderness was pleasant, making people forget to return. When Jun Changshao brought his disciples to a waterfall, he couldn't suppress the excitement in his heart. He immediately recited a poem. The sun shines and the incense burner produces purple smoke. I look at the waterfall hanging in front of me. Flying down 3,000 feet, I think the Milky Way falls from the 9th heaven. The disciples were stunned. It turned out that the sect leader knew how to compose poems. Su Xiaoma and the others didn't come from a big family, so they had limited knowledge. They only felt that the poems sounded very good. Flying down 3,000 feet, I think the Milky Way falls from the 9th heaven. Long Xiang carefully savored it and clapped his hands. Wonderful, wonderful. Lu Chanshan, who was always cold, heard Jun Changshao's poem, and her eyes were filled with surprise. In the Falling Star continent, there were many martial artists, but cultured people like him weren't easy to find. Sect leader is so awesome. Ling Yuanxue didn't follow the procedure and directly worshipped him. If the system had acting tough points, sect leader Jun would have gained a lot of points by reciting Li Bai's poem. Rustle, rustle, rustle. In the beautiful mountain forest, Xiao Zuiji carried his Type 88 sniper rifle and sprinted forward. He stopped in front of a tree, set up his gun, and pulled the trigger. Xiao, with the silencer, the bullet shot out silently and accurately hit a goat that was running in the distance. Swish! Su Xiaoma rushed over and carried the goat to a small stream. He skillfully skinned and deboned the goat. After finishing, he hung the goat on a tree branch. Zhou Hong walked over. Sword shadows permeated the air, instantly slicing the man into pieces. Before the goat fell off, a few disciples went over with bamboo baskets and caught the pieces. Swish! 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 They used bamboo skewers to skewer the goat and brought it to the sect leader. Jun Changshao placed the goat skewers on a makeshift barbecue table and released the exquisite fire. He began to rotate the skewers continuously. Xiao Ziji opened fire. Zhou Hong drew his sword. The disciples were busy as if they were facing a great enemy. They were just barbecuing. Little Mo. Jun Changshao shouted, "Where's the kidney?" Su Xiaoma, who was standing by the stream, said, "Sect leader, I threw away all the internal organs." Damn! Jun Changshao said, "What a waste." Li Qingyang's mouth twitched. "My sect leader, you used a bullet to barbecue the meat with the exquisite fire. This is what you call a waste? Extremely boring." Yi Xingchen, who was sitting in the distance, didn't care. Not long after, the skewers were cooked. Jun Changshao sprinkled chili and cumin and said, "Come and try my barbecue skills." The disciples living in the Falling Star continent had never seen such barbecue before. So, they all curiously took a skewer and ate it. Then, they praised it. "Junior brother Yi." Li Qingyang handed over the goat skewers and said, "You should try it too." Tsk, Yi Xingchen took it reluctantly, took a bite, and then, well, ate the rest. No one could resist the temptation of delicious food, not even the cold martial emperor. He could compose poems and barbecue skewers. The disciples' adoration for the sect leader was like a torrential river that flowed endlessly. After the barbecue in the wild, Jun Changshao continued to lead the disciples and stopped in front of the fog-shrouded Death Valley the next day. The words, Death Valley, were engraved on the stone wall at the entrance of the valley. The color was red, as if it was dyed with blood. Whoosh! Cold wind blew and poured into the entrance of the valley, forming a sound like ghosts crying and wolves howling. In front of the valley, many martial artists were hesitating. When they saw Jun Changshao and the others coming, they immediately whispered to each other. Iron Bone. Sect leader Jun brought so many disciples here. Is he going to enter Death Valley to train? Without Wuzong, going in rashly is suicide. Chapter 176. Death Valley not only had ferocious beasts but also large amounts of medicinal herbs, ores, and crystal cores. Every day, it would attract cultivators who were not afraid of death. They definitely did not dare to enter alone, so they would often recruit members at the entrance of the valley. If they could come out alive, they would split the loot equally. Unfortunately, after entering, very few people could come out alive to split the loot equally. Even so, it could not stop the enthusiasm of the cultivators. Every time, they would rush over like moths to a flame. Rogue cultivators had no clan or sect to protect them, so they could only rely on themselves. It was very common for them to go to the wilderness to earn resources. There are quite a lot of people. Jun Changshao stopped in front of the valley with 25 disciples. Sect Master Jun, the cultivator shouted, "You want to bring the disciples into the valley?" Jun Changshao said, "That's right." That person said, "Death Valley is a forbidden area in Azure Sun County. It's very dangerous." Sect Master Jun, with so few people, "I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it." Jun Changshao said, "It's not the number of people, it's the quality." Quality? Everyone shook their heads. They knew that Li Qingyang and a few others in Iron Bone were quite strong. As for the other disciples, they would be sending themselves to their deaths if they went in. They might even be a burden. Jun Changshao naturally would not explain, nor would he let the disciples show their strength to them. He said, "Disciples, follow me into the valley." With that, he strode into Death Valley. 25 disciples of the Iron Bone faction entered in an orderly manner under the watchful eyes of the crowd. There's not a single martial master. They'll be sending themselves to their deaths if they go in. Last year, Alliance Master Qin brought his disciples here for training. After they went out, more than 10 of them died. Sect Master Jun probably thinks that he can do whatever he wants in Azure Sun County after defeating Haoqi Sect. He's still too young. He'll know his own worth when he suffers a big loss. I'm afraid they'll all be wiped out and never come out again. Everyone discussed in low voices. They were not optimistic about Iron Bone's training in Death Valley. With them leading the way, we can follow behind and pick up scraps. If the situation doesn't look good, we can retreat immediately. Yes, yes. Many small teams believed that this was a good opportunity, and they all set out to enter Death Valley. In an instant, there were only a dozen or so people left at the entrance of the valley. They didn't go in because they were worried that Iron Bone wouldn't be able to hold on. If that happened, they wouldn't even have a chance to retreat. Those who dared to go in were gambling, while those who didn't were seeking stability. The entrance to Death Valley was a narrow passageway that resembled a canyon. It was filled with a faint mist, and occasionally, a cold wind would blow, giving people a gloomy feeling. Jun Changshao raised his hand as he walked in. Shua! Shua! Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua walked over. He stood in a triangular formation with the sect leader and placed the low-grade iron shield in front of him. 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples stood on both sides of the team and raised their iron shields. The rogue cultivators who were following behind shook their heads when they saw the Iron Bone disciples advancing step by step with their shields raised. The vicious beasts in the valley were incomparably cruel. This kind of iron shield would not be able to withstand their attacks at all. When the time came, it would only hinder them. All of a sudden, wolf howls could be heard from above the canyon, and numerous earth flame wolves appeared, stepping on flames. Oh no! It's a pack of earth flame wolves. They shouldn't be at the entrance. Many martial artists turned pale with fright and immediately retreated. They even had the intention of leaving the cave. They were not sure if they could escape. There were more than 100 earth flame wolves gathered above. It would be difficult to escape if they were targeted. If they had known that they would be treated like this as soon as they entered the valley, they would not have followed them even if they were beaten to death. The rogue cultivators were now filled with regret. However, they were fortunate that after the earth flame wolves appeared, their cold eyes locked onto the Iron Bone disciples in front of them. With them attracting their attention, there was a high chance that they would be able to escape. The wolf howls could be heard again. More than 100 earth flame wolves seemed to have received an order. They immediately charged down with flames on their feet, baring their teeth. Jun Changshao raised his hand with a smile on his face. Clang! Clang! Li Qingyang and the other inner disciples brandished their cold-edged swords. The outer disciples who did not have weapons raised their shields and formed a defense on both sides. An earth flame wolf that was comparable to a second-grade martial disciple was the first to charge. However, when it was still in mid-air, its head exploded and its body fell to the ground with a bang. Darlings! Jun Changshao withdrew his desert eagle and said, "It's time to show off my real skills." Swoosh! An earth flame wolf's sharp claws gathered flames as it pounced towards him. Whoosh! With a flash of the sword, its head was separated from its body. Li Qingyang held his sword and stood in front of the sect leader. His eyes were cold. Puchi! Su Xiaoma charged forward. With a flash of his sword, an earth flame wolf's head was chopped off. When he went on a sect mission before, he could only dodge with his meridian opening cultivation. Now that he was facing a stronger earth flame wolf, he could easily kill it. This was the best proof of his increase in strength. Tian Qi, Li Fei, and the others also started to attack. In the narrow passage, sword lights flashed frequently. Puchi! Puchi! One by one, the earth flame wolves were killed. Fresh blood splattered on the stone wall, emitting a nauseating smell. When the martial artists who were running back saw the Iron Bone disciples killing the earth flame wolves as if they were chopping vegetables, their expressions froze. "Senior brother, be careful." At this moment, Li Yuhua rushed over with her shield and knocked away the earth flame wolf that was attacking Su Xiaoma from the side. Boom! The earth flame wolf crashed into the stone wall and fell to the ground, twitching. Oh my god! What kind of impact is that? It can paralyze an earth flame wolf. Everyone exclaimed. Boom! Another collision sound was heard. They saw Xiao Ziji dashing forward with his shield and knocking away 3 earth flame wolves, killing them on the spot. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Just by relying on the impact of an iron shield, the force formed from the impact was enough to kill an earth flame wolf. He's Xiao Ziji. No wonder he's so powerful. He's the champion of the Sect competition. Everyone was relieved. However, when they saw the weaponless disciples of the Iron Bone sect holding up their shields and colliding head-on with the incoming ground fire wolves and sending them flying again and again, they were all shocked. They are all fucking freaks. Look, that female disciple seems to be scared. Someone noticed Ling Yuanxue. Although she was holding her shield, her hands and legs were trembling. Right. Facing so many earth flame wolves, this was normal. Whoa. At this moment, an earth flame wolf jumped down, and its target was Ling Yuanxue. This is bad. Without the help of her fellow disciples, this girl is definitely unlucky. While everyone was guessing, Ling Yuanxue noticed an earth flame wolf attacking her. She closed her eyes and rushed over with her shield. Ah! Bang! Because Ling Yuanxue's speed was very fast, when she hit the earth flame wolf, it was stuck in front of the stone wall. Ah! Bang! 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 She closed her eyes and repeatedly attacked with her shield. Soon, the earth flame wolf's skin was torn open. The itinerant martial artists behind were all dumbfounded. This girl was too violent. Chapter 177. Many earth flame wolves charged down from both sides, but they were either killed or rammed to death by the Iron Bone disciples. In just a moment, dozens of corpses were scattered on the road. The rogue cultivators behind were dumbfounded. Iron Bone was simply too terrifying. The earth flame wolves jumped down one after another as if they were rushing to their deaths. Whoa! The wolves howled again, and the earth flame wolves immediately stopped attacking. They stood on the mountain wall, opened their mouths, and began to gather fire spirit energy. Realizing that the crowd below was very strong, they chose to bombard them with long-range fireballs. This was a very smart choice. There are so many earth flame wolves spitting fire at the same time. There's no way to dodge. Iron Bone is finished. Everyone hurriedly retreated to the entrance of the valley. However, they did not leave immediately. They wanted to see what Iron Bone had in mind. Bang! Bang! At this moment, dozens of earth flame wolves spat fireballs at the same time. The scorching heat instantly dispersed the thin fog. Iron Bone disciples raised their shields to block the attacks, but they did not activate the defensive barrier. The sect leader had said that they should not waste the energy of the crystal cores. The rogue cultivators' mouths twitched. Brother, that's fire energy. If you use your iron shields to block the attacks, the heat alone will be scorching, not to mention whether you can withstand the attacks. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, the flames spat out from both sides accurately hit the iron shields. The flames were dispersed and extinguished like blooming fireworks. The disciples with the iron shields stood where they were and were not sent flying. Disdain was written all over their faces. Woo! Another wolf howl was heard. Huff, huff. The dozens of earth flame wolves seemed to have received an order. They opened their mouths to gather fire energy again and spat it at the Iron Bone disciples below. Unfortunately, the second fireball was stronger than the previous one. It was blocked by the iron shields again. The disciples stood where they were, unharmed. As for the heat, sorry, the iron shields did not conduct heat. Bang! Bang! After the earth flame wolves' attacks failed, they continued to spit fireballs. For a moment, fire energy shot down like rain. The Iron Bone disciples gradually gathered together as they blocked the attacks. Their shields connected to each other, forming a perfect defense. Whoa! The wolf howled again. Jun Changshao was annoyed and said, Zueji, get rid of that guy. Shua! Xiao Zueji summoned his Type 88 sniper rifle and placed it directly on his shield. The 8x scope locked onto the howling earth flame wolf on the mountain, and he immediately pulled the trigger. Whoosh! A silent bullet shot out from the muzzle at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye, accurately hitting the Earth Flame Wolf's head. The howling stopped abruptly. Boom! The Earth Flame Wolf that had been shot fell from the mountain and landed in front of the Iron Bone disciples' shields. Judging from its size, it was much larger than its peers. Oh my God! The Earth Fire Wolf King died just like that. Could this be Iron Bone's god-powered gun? Everyone was shocked. Iron Bone was very famous in Azure Sun County. The Type 88 sniper rifle that smashed the Houchi Sect signboard was also a hot topic among many martial artists. After the Earth Flame Wolf King that had given the order was killed, dozens of Earth Flame Wolves seemed to have gone mad. They did not care about spitting fire anymore and pounced on them with bared fangs and brandished claws. Put away your shields and kill. Jun Changshao said calmly. Shwa shwa shwa. The Iron Bone disciples carried their shields on their backs and channeled their spiritual energy into their fists to fight the Earth Flame Wolves that were pouncing on them. Bang! Bang! Li Yuhua, who was the meat shield, was the first to rush over. She used her rupturing fist and punched left and right, directly smashing the heads of 2 Earth Flame Wolves. Although the 10 middle-grade spiritual root disciples did not have any weapons, they still killed the Earth Flame Wolves with their bare hands. Moreover, all of them were headshots. When one's strength reached a certain level, even the toughest skull would be smashed. For a moment, brains and blood splattered everywhere. It was a bloody scene. Ah! Ling Yuanxue also imitated her senior brothers and punched an Earth Flame Wolf until its body caved in and its internal organs were shattered. Only then did she bravely open her eyes. The itinerant cultivators in the distance twitched their mouths violently. They thought that the quality of the iron shield used by the Iron Bone disciples was extraordinary since they could withstand the attacks of the Earth Flame Wolves. Now that they saw the shield and fought, they knew that it was really powerful. More than 10 minutes later, the dozens of frenzied Earth Flame Wolves all died in front of the Iron Bone disciples. The originally narrow path was filled with corpses. Blood flowed and gathered into a river. The air was filled with a nauseating smell. Wah! Seeing so much blood, Ling Yuanxue leaned against the mountain wall and vomited. Take out the crystal cores, Jun Changshao ordered. Yes! The disciples started to move. They cut open the bodies of the Earth Flame Wolves and took out the crimson crystal cores one by one. In total, they obtained more than 50 crystal cores. The itinerant cultivators who were hiding in the distance were full of envy. Every single crystal core was money. Sect leader Su Xiaoma held the crystal core of the Earth Flame Wolf King and said with a smile, "This is not bad." Jun Changshao put it into his spatial ring and snapped his fingers, "Let's continue forward." Everyone followed the sect leader with excitement in their eyes. When they were facing the Earth Flame Wolves, they were very nervous. After the battle, their blood was boiling. Ever since they joined the Iron Bone, these disciples had been cultivating. Today, they came to Death Valley to train. It was undoubtedly the time to prove their strength. After Jun Changshao left with the disciples, the itinerant cultivators who wanted to retreat gathered their courage and followed. When they came to the ground full of Earth Flame Wolf corpses, they were still shocked. More than 100 Earth Flame Wolves that were comparable to martial disciples were killed by them so quickly. This was too terrifying. Shwa! Shwa! Many itinerant cultivators took out their daggers and began to skin and bone the wolves. Although the most precious crystal cores and the Earth Flame Wolf King's corpse were taken away, these things could still be sold in the market and made some money. Needless to say, the martial artists who gathered their courage and followed in seemed to have some gains. At least the Iron Bone could eat the meat, and they could drink the leftovers. The path in the valley was not long. Jun Changshao led the disciples out quickly. What appeared in their field of vision was a dense forest covered in a faint mist. Roar! Vaguely, they could hear the roars of ferocious beasts. The ground under their feet was dark red, as if it was left behind by blood. Piles of human and beast bones were scattered around, emitting a gloomy and strange aura. This was the interior of Death Valley, a place that was regarded as a forbidden area. Jun Changshao said seriously, "Be alert at all times." Yes. The disciples gradually spread out and kept a distance from each other, forming a defensive formation with the sect leader as the center. Whoosh! At this moment, a black light darted out from the darkness and blocked their path. It was a huge leopard beast with black fur and a pair of cold eyes. Sect leader. Li Qingyang whispered, "This is a black-skinned leopard." Roar! The black-skinned leopard roared and suddenly rushed over. Its front claws were stretched out, carrying with them the power to tear everything apart. Sinful self, go! Yes! Ta ta ta! Xiao Ziji rushed out of the defensive formation and directly grabbed the leopard's front limbs. His 10 fingers were like iron pliers, and he threw it to the ground. Roar! The black-skinned leopard cried out in pain. However, because its front limbs were grabbed, it could not get up at all. In the end, it was ruthlessly thrown to the ground. Bang! 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 After being thrown to the ground, this black-skinned leopard that was comparable to a peak martial disciple could no longer get up. Its body twitched violently and it died. Chapter 178. The rogue cultivators who followed behind them entered Death Valley and happened to see Xiao Ziji beating up the Black Panther. Their mouths suddenly opened wide. Oh my god! A beast comparable to a peak martial disciple was actually ravaged by him. Shwa! Xiao Ziji tore open the Black Panther's chest with his bare hands and took out the crystal core in its heart. The rogue cultivator's eyes suddenly became hot. That was a beast comparable to a peak martial disciple's crystal core. It could be exchanged for several spirit stones. Of course. No one would think of robbing it. After all, they would definitely die if they tried. Jun Changshao led his disciples into the forest step by step. The moment he stepped into Death Valley, the epic mission entered a 7-day countdown, so he had to find the 4 types of beasts as soon as possible. Shwa! Shwa! As soon as Jun Changshao and his disciples left, a small group of rogue cultivators rushed over and skillfully peeled off the Black Panther's fur. The fur of a peak martial disciple was much more valuable than the earth flame wolf. Those who were slow were immediately annoyed. Let's go, let's follow. Iron bone is so strong, there must be good things. Let's pick up the scraps. Everyone hurriedly followed and kept a certain distance. Ta! Suddenly, Jun Changshao stopped and turned around. Everyone, it seems a little inappropriate to follow behind Iron Bone to pick up scraps, right? Hee hee. A warrior scratched his head and said, "Sect leader Jun, can't we follow Iron Bone to drink the soup while you eat the meat?" Jun Changshao said, "You can drink the soup, but everyone has to pay 1,000 taels. You can pick up whatever Iron Bone doesn't want." 1,000 taels? That warrior collapsed. Sect leader Jun, isn't it a little expensive? Jun Changshao said, "If you think it's expensive, you can take the lead. Iron Bone will give you 1,000 taels each to follow behind and pick up scraps." This, everyone's mouth twitched. They really wanted to agree. After all, more than 20 people would cost 20,000 taels. But, they didn't have the ability to take the lead. Jun Changshao said, "You don't want to pay, yet you want to take advantage of the situation. There's no such good thing in this world. So if you dare to follow me again, don't blame me for being ruthless." All the disciples were very cooperative, glaring angrily at him. After witnessing how the Iron Bone disciples fought valiantly against the pack of Earth Flame Wolves, the rogue practitioners were so shocked that they took a few steps back. Sect Master Jun, the martial artist said, "We will give you 1,000 taels. If you can't find enough, won't you be a fool?" Jun Changshao said indifferently, "There's no other way. Picking up scraps depends on luck." These words caused everyone to break down. "We will give it to you." The 5 small groups of martial artists who had obtained the Black Panther fur agreed and paid 5,000 taels. After all, they had already tasted the benefits. Following him in was a gamble. Giving him 1,000 taels was still a bet. More than 30 rogue cultivators struggled internally for a while before they each took out 1,000 taels of silver. After pocketing more than 30,000 taels of silver, Jun Changshao reminded them, "Remember, your duty is to pick up scraps. If you take something you shouldn't take, it will be very tragic. Rest assured, Sect Master Jun. We definitely won't take anything we shouldn't take." Everyone patted their chests and promised. Suddenly, another wolf howl was heard. Streaks of crimson light appeared in the fog-shrouded forest in front of them, looking very frightening. Thud, thud. Wolf beasts that were even larger than the earth flame wolves walked out of the shadows. Their fur was crimson red, like a cluster of flames. Their crimson eyes emitted a ruthless aura. Oh no, it's a pack of crimson flame wolves. The rogue cultivators turned pale with fright. The earth flame wolves belonged to a relatively low-level wolf pack. Their strength was generally 1 to 3 grades lower. The crimson flame wolves belonged to a high-level wolf pack. Their strength was at least 6 grades lower. In other words, the crimson flame wolves that appeared were not weaker than the earth flame wolf king. Moreover, their use of fire was much better than the earth flame wolves. When they were angry, they could directly spit out fire pillars. It's over, it's over. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have given them 1,000 taels. The rogue cultivators didn't care about picking up the leftovers, nor did they care about the banknotes. They hurriedly ran towards the entrance and entered the canyon tunnel. During this time, no one turned back. They were even annoyed that they didn't grow 2 more legs. They ran away just like that. Jun Changshao scratched his head and said, "Didn't I just earn tens of thousands of taels for nothing?" The disciples were speechless. Li Qingyang said, "Sect Master, there are at least 50 crimson flame wolves. Their strength is not weaker than a 6th-grade martial disciple. It's a bit tricky. Then what are you waiting for?" Jun Changshao took a step back and said, "Hurry up and find a place that's easy to defend and hard to attack." Whoosh! Whoosh! The disciples hurriedly looked around and quickly found that the left side of the mountain wall behind them was concave. They hurriedly rushed over and occupied this advantageous position. Howl! Just as they were about to set up the defense, a furious howl suddenly came from inside. The crimson flame wolves that were about to attack heard the howl. Fear appeared in their crimson eyes and their footsteps slowed down. Whoosh! At the end of the mountain wall, a resting bear was awakened. It straightened its 5-meter-tall body and its eyes flashed with an ominous glint. "Second-grade mountain-back bear," Li Qingyang said in surprise. Second-grade mountain-back bear was equal to a second-grade martial master. Judging from its physique and ominous glint, it was indeed Chinibu. Damn it! Jun Changshao took out the desert eagle and was about to kill this guy that shouldn't exist. At this moment, Yixingchen tiptoed on the stone wall and leaped into the air. The hand that was holding the sword hilt suddenly waved. Whoosh 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 whoosh. In an instant, sword shadows spread out and all of them landed accurately on the chest of the mountain-back bear. Zhou Hong said in surprise, 30 swords in one breath. Yixingchen was able to achieve 24 swords in one breath last time. Now that he had achieved 30 swords, it could be seen that he had a deeper understanding of the linear sword formula. As a sword cultivator, Zhou Hong comprehended the sword every day. After a month, he only managed to break through from 23 swords to 25 swords. Don't underestimate the extra 2 swords. If it were other sword cultivators, they might not be able to improve even after a few months, years, or even a lifetime. Swoosh! Yixingchen landed gracefully. Oh my god, senior brother Ye's swords are so fast. The outer disciples exclaimed one after another. Soon, their expressions stiffened because after the sword shadows disappeared, the mountain-back bear was completely fine. It raised its paw and smashed down. Senior brother Yi, be careful. Everyone exclaimed. Clang! At this moment, Yi Xingqian sheathed his sword gracefully. At the same time, a dense wound appeared on the chest of the mountain-back bear behind him. There were exactly 30 wounds. Swoosh! Blood spurted out. The mountain-back bear's body lost connection with its heart. The power gathered in it suddenly dissipated, and its consciousness gradually disappeared. Its tall body fell down like a mountain. Yi Xingqian said indifferently, "Crude ordinary beast. Senior brother Yi, be careful." Ha! Yi Xingqian felt that the sky had darkened. When he looked back, he saw that the crude ordinary beast didn't fall backward or to the left or right. Instead, it fell forward. Whoosh whoosh. Boom! Yi Xingqian, who was in the middle of showing off, was careless and didn't dodge. He was immediately crushed by the mountain-back bear. Knight Emperor, how sad. P.S. Because I have to update 2 books at the same time every day, my energy is really limited. I can only try my best to update more. Requesting recommendation votes, requesting monthly votes. Chapter 179. Yi Xingqian, who used the linear speed technique and slashed 30 times in a breath, instantly killed the mountain-back bear. It could be said that he was quite powerful. If the rogue cultivators who did not escape saw this, they would definitely be deeply shocked. Of course. They would also see the scene of Yi Xingqian being pressed to the ground by the heavy corpse. Quickly carry it away, don't take up the space. Jun Changshao said. Li Yuhua's muscle strength exploded as she lifted the mountain-back bear, which weighed almost 10,000 pounds, and threw it back to where it was sleeping. Poor little bear, if it had pretended to sleep, it would not have been destroyed. There was no other way. Who asked it to meet a group of ruthless people? Swoosh! Yi Xingqian jumped up from the ground and patted the dust off. He flicked his slightly messy hair and said indifferently, "Rough, ordinary beast." Even if it was very embarrassing, he had to continue acting cool. Wu, sensing that the mountain-back bear's aura had disappeared, the dozens of red flame wolves stopped and roared in unison. Immediately, they spread their limbs and charged forward, dragging flaming streams of light behind them. Although they did not release any flames, the temperature of the area increased by a lot as they charged forward. Xiao Ziji stood at the indentation with his shield in front of him. His eyes were shining with excitement. He liked this kind of dangerous experience because it was more interesting than cultivating in silence. He could also test his strength during this period of time. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others stood at the back with their shields raised. Xiao Ziji was the first line of defense, and they were the second line of defense. Whoosh! At this moment, 2 red flame wolves rushed over. Their slender and sharp claws extended from their forelimbs and tore at the shield in front of them. Ta! Xiao Ziji raised his shield and rushed forward, fiercely knocking the attacking red flame wolf away. Swoosh! At this moment, another red flame wolf rushed over. Its sharp claws directly scratched the sturdy iron shield, making a sound that made goosebumps rise. Although the defensive barrier was not activated, the sturdy iron shield's defense was still very strong. There were no scratches on the surface of the shield. On the other hand, the red flame wolf's claws were curled up after the fierce scratches. It was in so much pain that it howled. Whoosh! Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xiao Ziji raised his shield and swung his sword with his left hand, directly chopping off the head. Then, he raised his shield in front of him. Boom! Boom! The crimson flame wolves that came after Xiao Ziji crashed into the shield with their bodies. Although the impact was strong, Xiao Ziji did not move at all. Shwa! 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 In the blink of an eye, another 3 scarlet flame wolves charged at him with their powerful bodies. Only then was he forced to take a step back to the first line of defense. Awo! 2 smart scarlet flame wolves leaped up, wanting to jump behind Xiao Ziji, but just as they leaped over, 2 cold-edged swords pierced towards them. Puchi! Puchi! The cold-edged sword pierced through his abdomen. As his body rushed forward, a deep sword wound appeared, causing blood to spurt out. Fortunately, Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomao reacted quickly and raised their shields to block the dirty blood. The disciple behind him didn't have time to raise his shield, and was immediately splashed with blood, looking very miserable. Boom! Boom! Another few scarlet flame wolves attacked, but they were all blocked by Xiao Ziji at the first line of defense. Because of his powerful body, he was able to stand his ground. Originally, there was a possibility of being attacked from all sides. However, because of the terrain, the Iron Bone disciples could avoid being surrounded by enemies as long as they guarded the notch. The weakness was also very obvious. The notch was too narrow, and most of the disciples could only hide inside, unable to launch an effective attack. Sinji Yuhua. Jun Changshao said, "The two of you rush out and open up the space." Yes. Li Yuhua walked out from the back and raised her shield with Xiao Ziji, blocking the incoming scarlet flame wolves. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaomao followed with their swords and shields. As long as a scarlet flame wolf was knocked to the side by the shield, they would not hesitate to chop off the wolf's head with their swords. Zhou Hong also came out and placed his hand on the hilt of his sword. Jun Changshao said, "You don't have to do anything, just leave it to them." Although they came to Death Valley to complete the epic mission, they also had the intention to train the disciples. This sword genius was very powerful, and he killed all the scarlet flame wolves in one go. How could they train the disciples? Zhou Hong understood and retracted his hand. With the main tank Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua advancing with their shields, the space gradually opened up. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaomao, and the rest rushed out of the notch and formed an arc defense. It was undoubtedly difficult to change from a single defense line to a three-sided defense line. Fortunately, the Iron Bone disciples were very powerful. As long as the scarlet flame wolves rushed over, they would be hit and killed by the cold-edged sword. It was good to have equipment. If they were unarmed, they would have been chased all over Death Valley by the wolves. Relying on the iron shield and the terrain, the first attack of the scarlet flame wolves ended with more than 20 casualties. Whoa! A loud wolf howl was heard again, as if it was an order. Dozens of scarlet flame wolves stood in the distance, and their fur suddenly became as red as blood. Huff huff! Scorching heat waves spread out in all directions. Li Qingyang said seriously, "They are condensing flames, everyone must be careful." Zueji, give me the gun. Shwa! Jun Changshao took the Type 88 sniper rifle and walked to the gap between Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua's defense. He raised the gun and placed his eyes on the 8x scope. The wolf howl just now was definitely the wolf king of the scarlet flame wolves. Find it and kill it. With his 8x scope, he could even see the leaves a few hundred meters away clearly. Soon, Jun Changshao found the scarlet flame wolf king on a big tree in the distance. From its eyes, it seemed to be no weaker than the mountain-back bear. Damn it! You dare to bully my iron bone! After checking the crosshair, Jun Changshao pulled the trigger. Xiao! The flowing photon bullet shot out without a sound. But through the 8x scope, the scarlet flame wolf king seemed to have smelled the danger in advance and actually jumped to the tree next to it. Damn it! The control is so smooth. Jun Changshao's crosshair followed and directly fired in the process. This really felt like a sniper. Shwa! The scarlet flame wolf king could really smell the danger. The moment the bullet erupted, it quickly dodged. Its red eyes were filled with contempt. Damn it! Jun Changshao felt that he was being looked down upon. He pulled the trigger again. As a result, he fired several shots and ran out of bullets, but the opponent was still one step faster than him. Xiao Ziji, who was using his shield to block the shots, although he couldn't see who the sect leader was aiming at, but after firing 4 shots in a row, he judged that he should have missed. Oh my god! The sect leader has godlike marksmanship. After firing so many shots, the target must be very strong. Damn it! Jun Changshao secretly cursed. Since he got the Type 88 sniper rifle, this was the first time he missed a target. Moreover, it was under the situation of firing several shots in a row. The system said, the Scarlet Flame Wolf King's senses and reaction are very strong. The host's chance of hitting from a long distance is very low. I don't believe it. Jun Changshao took out the Scarlet Flame Wolf King's core crystal he just got, and then loaded 10 bullets. The system said, the higher the level of the core crystal, the higher the firing speed and power. The Scarlet Flame Wolf King will definitely have a hard time dodging. Ding! The host has successfully activated the 8x scope enhancement mode. 5 contribution points have been consumed. Ding! Sect contribution points, 4251000. System, Jun Changshao aimed the crosshair at the Scarlet Flame Wolf King's head. He secretly said, if I don't kill you today, how can I survive in the immortal world? The Scarlet Flame Wolf King seemed to have smelled a strong sense of danger and hurriedly turned around to escape. But, just as it turned around, a stream photon bullet was shot at it. Unless you can fucking fly into the sky and burrow into the ground, otherwise, obediently eat a bullet for me. Chapter 180. Don't doubt the 8x scope's enhancement mode. Because as long as the target was locked, the bullet would definitely hit the target. The Crimson Fire Wolf King seemed to have realized that it was in danger and ran away immediately. However, it couldn't escape at all. Whoosh, the silent bullet burst out, passing through trees and leaves. The Crimson Fire Wolf King's senses were very strong. It had already caught the bullet, but despair appeared in its eyes because it couldn't dodge it at all. Bang! In the end, the bullet seemed to have grown eyes and hit its head. The strong impact directly shattered its skull. Kaboom! The Crimson Fire Wolf King's huge body fell to the ground. Its red eyes gradually dimmed, showing disbelief. It clearly smelled danger. It clearly saw the trajectory of the light. Why couldn't it dodge it? Fancy movement? Super awareness? Sorry, in front of the gods, it was just an ant after all. A woo! After the Crimson Fire Wolf King died, waves of sorrowful wolf howls sounded in the forest. Streaks of red light rushed over. Ta. After a while, more than 200 Crimson Fire Wolves appeared in front of the Iron Bone disciples. Their eyes were shining fiercely. Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. Killing the Crimson Fire Wolf King actually attracted so many Crimson Fire Wolves at once. Nonsense. After killing their boss, they would definitely fight to the death with you. Whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a Crimson Fire Wolf that was accumulating power was covered in flames. It seemed to be burning spontaneously. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. More Crimson Fire Wolves were burning. In the field of vision, there seemed to be dozens of crazy and scorching flames. The scene was spectacular. Li Qingyang said solemnly, "They're going to attack." Whoosh! As soon as his voice fell, a Crimson Fire Wolf opened its mouth and spat out flames. It turned into a light beam and rushed over. Everywhere it passed, the branches and leaves were instantly burned to ashes. Ta! Xiao Ziji stepped on the ground with one foot and placed the shield in front of him, forming an absolute defense. Boom! When the explosive flame energy landed on the sturdy shield, the power it generated was at least 17,000. A rank 7 Red Flame Wolf was even stronger than the Long Saber faction's faction leader after unleashing the power of fire. However, in front of Xiao Ziji, who had an extremely strong physical body, even if his strength exceeded 20,000, he would still be able to resist and remain as steady as Mount Tai. One could do it, but what about 2 or 3? Who? The other 2 Red Flame Wolves spat out flames at the same time. Their target was still Xiao Ziji. Boom! Boom! 2 beams of fire once again smashed into the iron shield. In addition to the previous energy, it formed a force of 50,000 genes, instantly causing Xiao Ziji's shield-wielding arm to tremble. Furthermore, under the continuous bombardment of the flame beam, the surface of the iron shield gradually turned red. Didn't they not conduct heat? The fireball was aimed at the earth flame wolf, and it was extinguished with a bang. In the face of this kind of continuous burning, it could only be said that the heat conduction was slow, not that it could completely isolate the heat. From the looks of it, Xiao Ziji could still hold on. However, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long because the inside of the shield was already starting to heat up. If he continued to be burned, he would definitely be scalded. Hoo! Another 3 beams of fire shot towards him. Xiao Ziji's expression changed slightly. In addition to these 3 beams, the strength would definitely exceed 100,000 genes. He wanted to try and see if he could hold on. However, under the continuous burning, the shield would definitely not be able to hold on. Without any hesitation, Xiao Ziji communicated with the shield crystal core in his mind. Buzz! In an instant, the surface of the iron shield flashed and a defensive barrier similar to an array appeared. Bang! 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 3 beams of fire blasted directly on it. There were a total of 6 beams of fire, and the strength soared to 100,000 genes. However, under the powerful impact, Xiao Ziji, who was standing behind the defensive barrier, did not move an inch. The defensive function of the iron shield was activated, making him very relaxed. As the barrier blocked the flames outside, the surface of the iron shield that was originally reddish gradually turned black. However, under the continuous attack of the flame, the energy of the crystal core in the shield was also decreasing. At this level of strength, he could hold on for about 10 minutes. Hoo! More red flame wolves shot out beams of fire from the left and right. Li Yuhua strode over and stood on the right side of Xiao Ziji, activating the defensive function of the iron shield to form a defensive barrier in front of him. Li Qingyang also stood on the left side and set up a defensive barrier. The 3 of them lined up in a triangular formation and successfully blocked all the beams of fire from 3 directions. The defensive function of the iron shield was vividly displayed at this moment. However, there were too many red flame wolves. If all of them launched this kind of fire attack, the situation would be very troublesome. Xiao Mu, Xiao Fei. Jun Changshao said, "Charge out." He also realized that he couldn't fight a protracted battle with the wolves, or else he would only be in a passive position. Shua! Shua! Su Xiaoma and Li Fei, 2 disciples with excellent footwork, jumped up and rushed out. The target of the red flame wolves was Xiao Ziji and the rest. Suddenly, they saw a human jumping out and directly shot out beams of fire. Hoo! More than 10 beams of fire shot out from the ground into the air. Unfortunately, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei were nimble and agile, and they easily dodged them. After landing, they used ghostly leap to run left and right. More than 20 red flame wolves opened their mouths to shoot fire, but they couldn't catch up with the speed of the 2. Come on! Su Xiaoma taunted as she ran, "Come and hit me." The red flame wolves that were ready to attack were enraged. They locked their gazes on him and started to attack. Hoo! More than 10 beams of fire shot out from different directions. What the fuck? Su Xiaoma was so scared that he ran at full speed and dodged left and right in the rain of fire. On the other side, Li Fei took advantage of the time when his senior brother attracted the aggro and suddenly stopped. He raised his golden right leg and kicked a ball. However, there was no ball. Wang! At this moment, the space shook, and fist-sized rocks appeared. Iron Bone Shadowless Kick. Pang! Li Fei's golden right leg shot out at least 6 times in between the falling rocks. Shio! 6 stones shot out explosively under the powerful force of his feet, drawing beautiful arcs in different directions. Pang! The 6 red flame wolves that were attacking Su Xiaoma were all hit in the head by the powerful rocks, and then they fell to the ground and died. Li Fei's leg was 20,000 pounds, and the rocks were big. Although they couldn't penetrate the head like bullets, the impact was still quite huge. Oh my god! Li Yuhua saw this and cold sweat poured down. In the previous month of training, he was taken care of by senior brother Li's golden right leg. If he had used this level of strength, he would have died long ago. I chop. I chop, I chop, chop, chop. As Su Xiaoma dodged left and right, his right palm slashed out continuously. Crescent-shaped streams of light hit the red flame wolves and sent them flying. The appearance of the two attracted all the attention of the wolves. Jun Changshao thought that this was a good opportunity and ordered, Xing Chen, kill all the fire-breathing wolves. Chapter 181. Su Xiaoma's taunts and Li Fei's powerful attacks attracted all the red flame wolves. They gathered their flames continuously, preparing to launch a more violent attack. This was a good opportunity to attack. Swoosh! Yi Xingchen jumped out and landed in front of Xiao Ziji. He walked towards the red flame wolves, one hand on the hilt of his sword. His narrow eyes shone with coldness. Senior brother Yi was going to attack again. The outer sanctum disciples looked at him with admiration. 30 moves in one breath to kill the mountainback bear of middle second stage. They were shocked. This time, they wanted to see that superb swordsmanship with their own eyes. Zhou Hong looked over as well. Yi Xingchen stopped in front of the crowd, and he was only a dozen meters away from the dozens of crimson flame wolves. Su Xiaoma and Li Fei were too aggressive. They ignored the Night Emperor, who was standing 10 meters away. Are they treating me like air? Yi Xingchen, who had a strong ego, looked colder. He moved his wrist and unsheathed his sword. The sound of the sword being unsheathed was heard. The red flame wolves that were attacking Su Xiaomu and Li Fei looked over. There was a human. Kill him. Just as the red flame wolves were about to turn their heads, Yi Xingchen used the one-word speed technique. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In an instant, all 30 swords were slashed out, forming 30 unparalleled streams of sword chi that shot out explosively. Whoosh, whoosh. The sword auras stirred, and a cold wind blew. Yi Xingchen, who was holding a sword, had his black hair blown away, revealing a cold face. He was as pretentious as he could be. 30 sword auras bloomed like a flower. The Iron Bone disciples looked at Yi Xingchen with admiration. They almost cheered on the spot. When they saw Yi Xingchen slashing 30 times in one breath, the desire to learn the Ling Jian godly technique grew stronger. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 30 sword auras shot out close to the ground, locking onto the 30 red flame wolves. One-word speed technique. It could only be described in one word: fast. The red flame wolves that wanted to turn their heads and spit at Yi Xingchen did not even have time to turn their heads. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sword auras spread and disappeared in the air. The 30 crimson flame wolves turned their heads, and the flames that had gathered in their mouths were suddenly extinguished. Their crimson eyes also gradually dimmed. Clang! Han Feng's sword. Plop! Plop! Cracks appeared on the bodies of the 30 red flame wolves before they were separated into two halves and fell to the ground. Blood and internal organs flowed out. Swoosh! Swoosh! Strong! Too strong! Swoosh, swoosh! 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 The swoosh! 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 Of them. Swoosh! 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 Our brother Chen is a man of few words. Swoosh! 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 On the other side, Su Xiaoma was swoosh. Swoosh! 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 Iron Bone shadowless kick. Li Fei was also constantly taking out stones of the right size from his spatial ring and shooting them out like crazy. Swoosh! 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 The red flame wolves were like cavalries on the battlefield. Swoosh! 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 Jun Changshao shouted. Swoosh! Swoosh! Li Qingyang, Xiao Ziji, and Li Yuhua removed the defensive barrier. Swoosh! The other disciples also put away their iron shields. Swoosh! 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 At the exit of the tunnel, more than 30 loose practitioners had retreated. They had not left. Instead, they were waiting for the Iron Bone disciples. Some of them were thinking that they had to get their money back. After all, they had not picked up anything. Giving the Iron Bone disciples 1,000 taels was a huge loss. Sorry. It was impossible for them to take the money back when it was in Jun Changxiao's pocket. Strange. Someone said, why hasn't the Iron Bone disciples come out yet? Could it be that they have been surrounded? With their strength, it should be easy for them to escape. There are so many of them. If they are slow, they will definitely be unlucky. After waiting for a while, they still did not see the Iron Bone disciples. They were certain that the Iron Bone disciples had been surrounded by the red flame wolves. Even the most common red flame wolf is not weaker than the ground fire wolf king. There were at least 70 or 80 of them just now. Once the Iron Bone disciples are surrounded, they will definitely die. Not to mention an 8th-rate sect, even Alliance Master Qin's disciples would be in trouble. If we knew this would happen, we would not have given him 1,000 taels. Now that he has died in the wolf pack, his corpse will definitely be taken away. We will not be able to find it. Everyone was devastated. They did not care about the Iron Bone disciples, but they cared about their money. We can wait for a while. After the red flame wolves have retreated, we can go and take a look. Maybe we can pick up something. Although the Iron Bone disciples are unable to fight against this wolf pack, they might be able to kill a few before they die. The red flame wolf's fur is extremely warm. They can be sold for a good price in the market. Not bad, not bad. Everyone did not leave the valley. They waited quietly. After all, they had already given the money. If they did not pick up anything, it would be a huge loss. Soon, an hour passed. Someone said, I think it's done. Let's go in and take a look. Don't rush, don't rush. A martial artist said cautiously, let's wait for another hour. Everyone waited for another hour, and then carefully walked along the tunnel. When they reached the end, they did not enter the valley immediately. Instead, they pricked up their ears and listened carefully to see if there were any wolf howls. There was no sound. The wind that blew carried a sense of coolness. Everyone immediately determined that the red flame wolves had retreated. If they were still there, the wind that blew would definitely be a heat wave. The rogue martial artists gathered their courage and walked out of the tunnel. When they were in Death Valley again, they looked at the place where the Iron Bone disciples were. Their expressions froze. That area. More than 200 red flame wolves were lying on the ground. They were either cut in half at the waist or had their heads caved in. They died in all kinds of ways. More than 20 Iron Bone disciples who were covered in blood sat on the corpses. Some were shaking their arms, and some were using their fur to wipe off the blood stains on their swords. So many red flame wolves were lying dead all over the ground. The scene was extremely shocking. None of the 25 Iron Bone disciples died. They were not even injured. It was equally shocking. The rogue martial artist's eyes gradually widened. Their hearts were in turmoil. Whoosh! At this moment, the Iron Bone disciples turned their heads and grinned. Because their faces were covered in wolf blood, coupled with that strange smile, they suddenly felt like demons from hell. Thump! 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 The rogue martial artists were so frightened that they took a few steps back. A chill ran from the soles of their feet to their spines. Everyone! Jun Changshao pulled the Red Flame Wolf King's corpse over and stepped on it with one foot. He smiled and said, "You have just left Death Valley, which means you have lost your qualifications. You still want to follow behind Iron Bone to pick up scraps. Please continue to pay 1,000 taels." Chapter 182. More than 200 red flame wolves, some of their heads were chopped off, some of their bodies were cut in half at the waist. Fresh blood stained the ground, the scene was like a slaughterhouse. The Iron Bone disciples sitting on the corpses turned around and smiled at them, revealing their white teeth, like a butcher in a slaughterhouse. No, they looked more like demons from hell. The scene in front of them shocked the loose cultivators so much that they retreated. Their spines were cold and their scalps were about to explode. As martial cultivators, why were they so scared? If the corpses were normal cows and sheep, they would definitely be indifferent. However, the corpses were all lower 7th grade red flame wolves, each comparable to a 7th grade martial disciple. Moreover, the pack of red flame wolves was completely annihilated. More than 20 Iron Bone disciples annihilated a pack of lower 7th grade red flame wolves. Just this point alone was terrifying enough to frighten them. Especially when they saw Jun Changshao pull out the Red Flame Wolf King's corpse from the forest, the shock in their hearts was even more intense. Was this a dream? Looking at their dumbfounded expressions, Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "Didn't you hear what I said just now?" "What did he say?" "If you want to continue picking up scraps, pay another 1,000 taels." "I'll pay." A martial artist hurriedly took out some silver taels. He thought that the Iron Bone disciples would be annihilated, but in the end, it was the pack of red flame wolves that was annihilated. Being smart, he instantly realized that these people were very powerful. If he followed behind and picked up scraps, he would definitely gain a lot. The others also thought about it and rushed to hand over the silver taels. There were so many red flame wolf corpses, any few skins could be sold for a good price. More importantly, if they followed the Iron Bone disciples deeper and picked up some ores and herbs that they did not want or missed, they would definitely make a fortune. Just like that, Jun Changshao earned another 30,000 taels. After paying, the loose cultivators stared at the red flame wolf corpses with burning eyes, ready to skin and take out the bones. "Disciples, listen up," Jun Chang said with a smile, "take the crystal cores, wolf skins, bones, anything that's valuable." Ah! Hearing this, the 30 loose cultivators were all dumbfounded. Swoosh! Swoosh! The Iron Bone disciples began to move. In a short time, the corpses of 200 red flame wolves were skinned and their bones removed, leaving only a pile of wolf meat. This thing could also be sold for money. However, it was just that the meat quality was better than ordinary beef and mutton, so the price would not be too high. The storage capacity of the spatial ring was limited, so he would just let them have it. Everyone. Jun Changshao pointed at the wolf meat on the ground and said, "It's boring to drink soup, let's eat some meat." As he spoke, he led his disciples forward. Who? A cold wind blew, causing the 30-odd rogue cultivators to feel a chill. Spending 2,000 in a row just to pick up meat from behind Iron Bone was definitely a losing proposition. Sect Master, isn't it a little too cruel to leave wolf meat for them? Li Qingyang, who was walking on the road, whispered. Jun Changshao said, "You want to follow behind and loot the crates? How can there be such a good thing in the world?" At first, he didn't care about the wolf's fur. After all, even if he could sell it for money, it would only be a small amount. However, after killing the black-skinned leopard, he saw that the rogue cultivators were very eager to snatch it. He thought, a few dozen ferocious beast skins might not be a lot, but what about a few hundred or a few thousand? Furthermore, Death Valley definitely did not lack ferocious beast skins. The silver he had obtained from the Grand Chi Sect and the AI family head was almost 20 million. However, Jun Changshao did not think that he was very rich, so as long as there was an opportunity to earn money, he must not miss it. After thinking it through, he wished that he could go to the rogue cultivators with a black face and ask for the fur and bones just now. However, this would definitely lose the demeanor of a sect master. So conflicted, what should I do? Forget it, let them pay 1,000 taels. After paying the money, they would make up for their losses. If they wanted to pick up the leftovers, they would have to pick up the beast meat that they didn't want. It turned out that when this guy said that they could pick up the leftovers after paying the money, he was actually changing the method to make up for the loss of the fur. Including the black-skinned leopard's fur, the total value was less than 1,000 taels. 1,000 taels per person, this loss was too much to make up for. Then, the sudden appearance of the red flame wolves scared the rogue cultivators away. When they came back, well, then he had to seize the opportunity to earn a few tens of thousands of taels. This sect master was a bit stingy. Stingy was definitely the right thing to do. They did not know each other, so why should he risk his life to open the path in front while they picked up the leftovers? Moreover, even if there were no leftovers to pick up, at least with them in front, they could come in safely. Even 2,000 taels would be a loss. They continued forward. After walking for a few hundred meters, they did not encounter any attacks from ferocious beasts, but they saw a lot of medicinal herbs. Because they grew at the entrance, their quality was very low. However, Jun Changshao still ordered them to pick up all of them, truly sweeping them clean. Sect Master Jun. A cultivator following behind broke down and said, "Such low-grade medicinal herbs are not worth much." "Are you taking them all?" Jun Changshao said. "Since you are here to pick up leftovers, you should be prepared to pick up leftovers." Everyone fell silent. It seemed that it was not easy to pick up leftovers. At this moment, Xiao Ziji, who was opening the path in front, stopped. Then, he crouched down and pressed his ear to the ground to feel the vibration frequency. He frowned and said, "There is a big guy coming." This was a skill that he had learned on his own with Yi Xingchen in the wilderness. When he used it today, it seemed very professional. However, Su Xiaoma walked over and pointed to the front. The corner of his mouth twitched and said, "Junior brother Xiao, you can see it with your eyes." Xiao Zuiji raised his head to look. He saw that in the depths of the forest within sight, a big black shadow gradually appeared. The stones and branches on the ground trembled slightly. This was so awkward. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening roar was heard. The trees in the shadow were cut in half. A brown-haired ape beast walked out with its chest drooping. Its height was comparable to the Earth Mountain bear just now. Li Qingyang said in a low voice, "Middle rank 5 Great Ape." Great Ape? Jun Changshao was delighted. The epic mission required him to kill 4 types of ferocious beasts, and the Great Ape was one of them. They had just entered Death Valley and they had already encountered the mission target. It was easier than he had imagined. Roar! The Great Ape roared again, blowing a small tree next to it until it was bare. The loose practitioners following behind hurriedly retreated, but they did not leave the valley directly. Since the red flame wolves had been eliminated, they had a lot more confidence in Iron Bone. "Qingyang, Zuiji, Xiaoma." Jun Changshao said, "I'll leave this big guy to you." "Yes, I'll do it." Lu Qianqian rushed over with a mysterious footwork. Her jade-like hand gently waved in the air, and cold spiritual energy spread out. Wherever it passed, layers of thin ice seemed to form. Ice element. Yi Xingchen was astonished. The loose practitioners behind also widened their eyes when they saw the Iron Bone female disciple forming a frost-like cold air with a wave of her hand. There were thousands of elements in the falling star continent, but martial artists who could condense ice element spiritual energy were few and far between. According to the statistics of the relevant departments, the proportion of martial artists with ice element spiritual energy was about the same as 1 in 10,000 sword cultivators. TSK. Jun Changshao said, "No wonder it's so cold all day. It turns out that it's a rather rare ice element martial artist." Lu Qianqian, who seemed to be otherworldly, leaped into the air. Her jade-like hand crossed, she coldly shouted, "Cold ice spike." Huff huff. The cold air behind her solidified, instantly condensing into crystal-clear icicles, and then directly blasted over. Everyone opened their mouths. The condensed icicles were like a broken mountain peak, as if an invisible hand was smashing over. The scene was quite shocking. Poochie. The great gorilla ape didn't even have time to raise its arm before the icicle, which was as sharp as a sword, struck its chest and pierced through its body. The crystal-clear icicles appeared on its back, also stained with blood. Hiss! Everyone gasped. Chapter 183. No one would have thought that Lu Qianqian was an ice martial cultivator. No one would have thought that the ice all she condensed would be able to directly stab a middle 5th rank great ape to death. Drip, drip. Drops of blood from the ice all splattered on the ground, clearly audible. The 30-odd loose cultivators firmly believed that this was not a dream, this was real. That iron-bone female disciple killed a great ape with an ice martial technique. At that moment, they finally understood why Iron Bone could completely exterminate the Scarlet Flame Wolves. Just by relying on this fairy-like female disciple, even if there were hundreds more, it would not be enough for them to kill. In fact, Lu Qianqian did not even make a move to exterminate the pack of Scarlet Flame Wolves. Her clothes were not even stained with blood. The ones who made a move were Li Qingyang and the others. Wow! Ling Yuanxue said in admiration, "Eldest senior sister is so powerful." Yi Xingqian secretly evaluated, "This woman cannot be underestimated." Li Qingyang and the others were all amazed. As expected of our Iron Bone clan's eldest senior sister, her valiant life needs no explanation. Possessing ice psionic energy, condensing ice martial techniques, and directly killing a great ape that was comparable to a 5th-rank martial master. Lu Qianqian's display of strength not only shocked the 30-odd loose cultivators, it also shocked the Iron Bone disciples. Jun Changshao was very calm. He was surprised that his eldest disciple was an ice martial cultivator, but killing a middle 5th-rank beast was not surprising. After all, she had been hiding her strength ever since she entered the sect. Ding! Great ape killed 1/10. Jun Changshao said, "Zui Ji, take away the crystal core, skin, and bones." Yes. Shua. Shua. Xiao Ziji quickly and efficiently left behind a pile of ape meat. Jun Changshao continued to lead the disciples forward. The loose cultivators behind them hurriedly took out their weapons and surrounded them, beginning to cut up the great ape. The meat of middle 5th-rank beasts was high-quality goods, rich people would definitely like to eat it. Selling it for a few dozen taels per catty should not be a problem. Let me reiterate. It was not that Jun Changshao did not want meat, but the storage in the interspatial ring was limited. Take the spatial ring that the system gave him as an example. At most, it could only hold 3 or 4 great ape meat before it was full. The spatial rings of the disciples were all low-level, and the storage capacity was even smaller. Xiao Ziji was only storing the fur and bones of the great gorilla ape and the mountainback bear, and it was almost full. The training had just begun. There must be even more powerful vicious beasts in the depths of the valley. It would be meaningless to store meat that was far less valuable than skin and bones. The 30 or so rogue cultivators were overjoyed. This great ape's meat weighed at least 2,000 catties. Based on the price of 10 taels per catty, 50 catties of meat would be worth 500 taels. If they were to encounter more powerful beasts later on, they could just cut off their iron bone and sell it. Wouldn't they be able to earn back the 2,000 iron bone? Looking at the rogue cultivators in the back cutting up the ape meat, Jun Changshao secretly shook his head and said, "If I had known earlier, I would have prepared dozens of space rings and packed all the meat. Even if I don't sell it, I can let Dudu make it into a delicacy." The system asked, "Do you think ape meat tastes good?" "It's not good," Jun Changshao said. The system said, "So, don't even think about the meat." Jun Changshao continued to lead the disciples forward and came to a pool. He ordered them to rest and clean up the blood on their bodies. Xiao Ziji stood on a tree and set up the Type 88 sniper rifle, looking around vigilantly. Soon, everyone washed off the wolf blood on their bodies and then sat together to absorb spiritual energy to replenish the spiritual energy consumed in the battle. The rogue cultivators were dozens of meters away from them. They didn't dare to go too far, fearing that they would be attacked by vicious beasts. Drip, drip. A rogue cultivator who was resting in front of a tree felt something dripping down. He instinctively raised his hand to touch it and suddenly felt sticky. His face changed and he hurriedly looked up. Shwa! A dark green python opened its bloody mouth and rushed down from above. Ah! Screams rang out, breaking the silence. It's the blue-eyed snake. Ho Bao has been eaten. Everyone, let's kill it together. Shwa! Shwa! Although the 30 rogue cultivators were frightened, they didn't panic. They all took out their swords and slashed crazily at the blue-eyed snake that retreated to the tree. Among these people, there were a few first and second grade martial masters. Their strength was not bad, and with everyone's strength, the middle 3-grade snake beasts were directly beheaded. Unfortunately, after cutting open the snake's stomach, the rogue cultivator called Ho Bao's body rotted and he had completely lost his breath. Sigh. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. Since they entered Death Valley, it was common to be attacked by vicious beasts at any time. Ling Yuanshui saw the corpse of the rogue cultivator from afar and hurriedly closed her eyes in fear. Listen carefully. Jun Changshao said solemnly, "This is Death Valley, there will be danger at any time. You must be careful and protect yourselves." He didn't care about the life and death of the rogue cultivators. After all, they were neither relatives nor friends. But the disciples were his own flesh and blood, so he definitely didn't want to leave his life here. And the disciples nodded. Shwa! Li Qingyang's cold sword flashed and cut a scorpion with the same color as the ground under Ling Yuanshui's feet into 2 halves. Scared me to death. Ling Yuanshui almost jumped up. Everyone's mouth twitched. Although this junior sister was timid, she was not careless at all when she used her shield to attack the ground flame wolf at the entrance of the tunnel just now. Death Valley not only had powerful vicious beasts, but also many small poisonous beasts such as centipedes and scorpions. 40% of the martial artists who entered to train were poisoned to death. This was the true horror of Death Valley. First, they had to guard against powerful vicious beasts, and second, they had to guard against poisonous and small vicious beasts. Ouch! Just as he walked to a place, Su Xiaoma sat on a mossy rock, and the back of his hand was bitten by a small ant. Because it contained poison, it immediately swelled up into a big lump. Damn it! What kind of ant bites are these? It hurts so much. After crushing the ant that bit him, Su Xiaoma took out an antidote pill, chewed it and smeared it on the wound. The pain was immediately reduced by a lot. Before Jun Changshao came, he asked Li Luoqiu to buy the necessary items for training in the wild in advance. For example, the most commonly used antidote pill. As long as it wasn't highly toxic, it could be taken or smeared on the wound in time to solve the problem. Jun Changshao thought, does the healing pill have an antidote function? No. The system said. Jun Changshao knew it would be this answer. Because if it had an antidote function, the poison that suppressed his cultivation and spirit root when he gave it to Xiao Ziji would have been expelled long ago. Sect Master. Li Qingyang said, there are 2 tunnel entrances in front, they should lead to 2 different places. Which way should we go? Death Valley's terrain was rather complicated, like a series of gourds connected together. The area where Jun Changxiao's group was at was connected to two gourds, and then it continued to branch out. Look for spiders. Sect Master, spiders are everywhere. Look for small poisonous spiders. In Death Valley, one couldn't rely on fate, one had to search with a purpose. The epic quest required one to kill 500 small poisonous spiders, so Jun Changxiao had to find them first. Li Qingyang said, "These spiders always travel in groups in Death Valley. If we find one, we might find a large group. We still have to find them." Jun Changxiao led his disciples forward, then stopped in front of a stone wall at the end of the forest. There were two tunnel entrances on both sides, one without wind, the other with wind. Spiders are afraid of light, so they usually weave their webs in places where light and wind pass through. After thinking for a while, he pointed at the tunnel with wind and said, "Go there." Sect Master Jun. Just as he was about to move, a lone cultivator behind him said, "The place you're going to is a poisonous spider nest, there are countless poisonous spiders inside." Jun Changxiao smiled, "If that's the case, I'll have to go in." Saying so, he led his disciples into the tunnel. The lone cultivator's mouths twitched. Poisonous spiders are disgusting creatures. Besides their silk, everything else on them is worthless. Why does Iron Bone want to go in? Isn't he afraid of poking a hornet's nest and getting attacked by tens of thousands of poisonous spiders? Chapter 184. Jun Changxiao entered the tunnel that led to the spider's lair. The 30 or so rogue cultivators didn't follow, because once the spiders inside were alerted, a large number of spiders would rush out. If they were targeted, it would be scarier than the red flame wolves. Yes. In this way, another 1,000 tails were gone. With Jun Changxiao's personality, they had to follow behind. If they were too far away, it would automatically become invalid, and they could only continue to pay to follow. The tunnel connected to the calabash was similar to the entrance of the valley. It was narrow and shaped like a canyon. Weeds grew on the road, and occasionally, they could see the corpses of beasts and humans. Who? A cold wind blew from inside, bringing with it a nauseating stench. Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua opened the way with their shields. Many disciples were vigilant at all times, and some were even looking at their feet, afraid that small poisonous spiders would suddenly appear. Ling Yuanxue walked in the middle, fear in her eyes. Women were naturally afraid of small things like spiders and cockroaches. Sect leader. Li Qingyang whispered, "There is a spider web in front." At the end of the tunnel, a spider web that looked like the 5 elements and 8 trigrams was woven together, completely sealing the entrance. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Suddenly, a strange sound came from the side. Jun Changxiao and the others looked up and saw a green spider about the size of a human crawling down. Fuck! Spiders are so big. Ding! Tian Qi raised his cold-edged sword and nailed the spider to the stone wall. Disgusting green juice flowed out from the wound. Yi Xingqian frowned, "This blood is poisonous, don't touch it." Tian Qi quickly withdrew his sword and dodged. Ding! Small poisonous spider killed 1,500. Hearing the notification, Jun Changxiao was startled. Then he roared in his heart, "It's about the size of an adult, what kind of small poisonous spider is it?" The small poisonous spider was already so strong. If there was a big poisonous spider, wouldn't it be as big as the mountainback bear? Ding! Side quest triggered. Another quest. Jun Changxiao opened the system panel and saw the words "Kill the big poisonous spider King 0 of 1, Elite Quest." What the fuck, there's even a great poisonous spider king. No matter what, after entering the tunnel, Jun Changxiao realized that he had found the right place. There must be a lot of quest monsters inside. However, he didn't rashly rush over with his disciples. Who knew if it was filled with venomous spiders of all sizes? If he alarmed all of them, he would definitely be in trouble. He had to come up with a good plan. Even if something went wrong, they could still retreat safely. Jun Changshao rubbed his temples and said, Zhang Wei, bring Shengguan Shua and the others to the back and guard with shields. Yes. Zhang Wei and the other 9 middle-grade spiritual root disciples retreated to the back and set up shields to form a defensive line. Yuan Shua, go hide in the back. Spiders were too disgusting. Jun Changshao was worried that her fear would affect her ability. Lu Qianqian stayed where she was. Because from this woman's cold appearance, not to mention spiders, she wouldn't even be afraid of cockroaches. Jun Changshao ordered a few more disciples to enter the rear defensive line. At this point, 7 inner disciples, Long Xiang, Li Yuhua, and Zhou Hong were left in front. Including him, there were a total of 11 people. In such a narrow distance, having more people might not be an advantage. Reasonable arrangements were more important. Let's go. Jun Changshao led 10 disciples to the front. The closer they got, the more they found that there were many spider webs, with some bones hanging on them. It looked creepy. Rustle, rustle, rustle. With a slight sound, a green spiders but spat out spider silk and slid down from above. Its 8 big eyes flashed with a gloomy light. Whoosh! Xiao Ziji set up his Type 88 sniper rifle and shot it directly. The spider looked very big, but its strength was only 1 grade lower than the earth flame wolf. It was not afraid of 1 or 2, but it was afraid that there would be too many. Ding! Small venomous spider killed 2,500. Jun Changshao stopped and said, Zui Ji, Yuhua, you two poke through the spider webs and then explore forward. As long as a spider appears, immediately retreat. Letting 2 meat shields explore the way was very particular. Yes. Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua set up their iron shields and activated a defensive barrier, moving forward carefully. Who knew if the small venomous spiders would spit venom? Safety was the most important thing. Soon, Xiao Ziji stopped in front of the spider webs, took out his elementary-grade cold-edge sword, and slashed at it, destroying the spider webs. Li Yuhua picked up a branch on the ground and twisted it. After a while, the spider webs blocking the entrance of the tunnel were all cleared. The 2 of them continued to move forward side by side. Jun Changshao said seriously, get ready to fight at any time. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others took out their cold-edged swords, their eyes flashing with strong fighting spirit. TSK, Yi Xingchen stepped forward and stood in front of them, his eyes filled with disdain. It was just a small spider, there was no need to make a fuss. This guy was very proactive, hoping to leave a good impression on Sect leader Jun and get more martial arts resources. Swish! Swish! Suddenly, Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua ran over from the entrance of the tunnel. They were as fast as they could, and their expressions were very interesting. It was obvious that they had been discovered by the venomous spiders. Yi Xingchen put one hand on the hilt of his sword and said proudly, hide behind me. Leave these bastards to me. Domineering, arrogant. Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua did not stand on ceremony. They ran behind him and formed a defensive barrier, forming an absolute line of defense. Swish! Swish! At the entrance of the tunnel, a small venomous spider jumped out. Then, a second, third, and fourth head appeared right after. In a short while, more than 70 small venomous spiders appeared on both sides of the stone wall in front of them. They rushed over at an extremely fast speed, their eyes flashing with a sinister light. Yi Xingchen, who wanted to show off, saw so many spiders and his mouth twitched. He really wanted to retreat. But since he took the initiative to show off, he had to continue with tears in his eyes. Bastards! Yi Xingchen slightly bowed, his right hand tightly holding the hilt of his sword. His eyes were cold as he said, if you are not afraid of death, then come. If it was a martial artist, they might be afraid of Night Emperor's terrifying gaze, but the small venomous spiders were not afraid. Instead, they thought that he was provoking them, so they sped up. Clang! When they were close, the cold-edged sword was unsheathed. Using the linear speed secret art, 30 sword lights instantly spread out, and then blasted out in 3 directions. Poochie! Poochie! 30 spiders from the front and sides of the stone wall were instantly killed. Poisonous green juice splashed out like rain, and the stench became even stronger. Ding! 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 A series of notifications rang out, and the number of small venomous spiders instantly increased from 2 to 32. However, after killing 30 with one sword, the remaining dozens of small venomous spiders rushed over. Shwa! Shwa! Yi Xingqian once again used the linear speed technique, and the dense sword qi slashed out, instantly killing another 30 spiders. However, the moment he withdrew his sword, his body took a step back, and his face was slightly pale. Hiss! At this moment, the remaining dozen small venomous spiders had already rushed over, opening their mouths and spitting green venom. Yi Xingqian's face changed slightly. Continuously using the linear speed technique consumed a lot of energy, and it would be very difficult to dodge. Shwa! Shwa! Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua rushed over in large strides, blocking all the venom with their defensive barrier. The two of them asked in unison, "Junior brother, senior brother, are you okay?" TSK, Yi Xingqian coldly snorted and dragged his weak body to the back. However, when he thought about how someone would help him at all costs when he was in danger, a wave rose in his heart. Chapter 185. The venom spat out by more than a dozen small spiders splashed on the defensive barrier, causing white smoke to rise. It was obvious that the venom was very strong. Jun Changshao said, "Little Mo, Little Fei, use self-chop to finish them off." Su Xiaoma and Li Fei retracted their swords and shields. They kicked the stone wall and their bodies instantly soared into the air. After the two jumped out, they slashed wildly with their left and right hands. A crescent-shaped stream of light suddenly shot out. Shwa! 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 In an instant, under the dense bombardment of self-chop, the 13 small spiders were all killed. Ding! 75,300 small spiders killed. That's right. Now that feels good. Jun Changshao laughed. 500 spiders. Killing them one by one would definitely be a waste of time. Letting the meat shield lure the spiders and then crazily slaughtering them in a narrow space was undoubtedly the fastest way. Phew! Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua exhaled and wiped the cold sweat on their foreheads. Luring the spiders was really dangerous and exciting. Yi Xingqian sat cross-legged and activated I Jing Jing and Taishan Sutra at the same time, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to replenish the spiritual energy consumed by the cyclone. After entering Death Valley, using the one-word fast technique 4 times in a row consumed too much spiritual energy and stamina. And this was Yi Xingqian. If it were Su Xiaoma and Li Fei, using it twice in an instant, they would probably collapse on the ground from exhaustion. High-level sword techniques were powerful, but they consumed too much energy. Normal martial cultivators could not use them at all. After a short rest, Jun Changshao said, "Sinful self, Yuhua, fill up the unyielding iron shield's crystal core and then go in to lure the small spiders." Okay. Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua took out the Earth Fire Wolf's crystal core and filled up the groove with energy before carefully lying down again. Li Qingyang and Su Xiaoma stood at the front, ready to fight. Everyone was ready. As long as the two of them lured the spiders into the tunnel, they would not hesitate to use self-chop to bombard them. "I'll do it." Zhou Hong walked out from behind. Yi Xingqian had executed the linear sword formula 4 times in a row, and he was about to die from envy. In this training in Death Valley, he had to perform well and obtain the Ling Jian God formula. "Sure." Jun Changshao said, "I'll leave the rest to you." Swoosh! Whoosh! Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua ran over with their shields. This time, he was even faster, and the expressions on his face were even more interesting. He shouted, "Retreat, retreat!" Hoo-hoo! Just as he finished speaking, dozens of small poisonous spiders darted out of the tunnel entrance. There was also a venomous spider that was 4 to 5 meters tall. Its 8 eyes were as big as a fist, and they flickered with an eerie light. Sha sha sha. More and more small poisonous spiders came out from under the big poisonous spider, and the number gradually increased to more than 200. Jun Changshao broke down and said, "Damn, you're pooping so much." Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua had already rushed over. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others all set up their defensive barriers. In front of him stood Zhou Hong alone. Sha sha sha. Sha sha sha. More than 200 small poisonous spiders quickly approached. The big poisonous spider slowly crawled behind them, and the atmosphere was very scary. After replenishing his spiritual energy, Yi Xingqian stood up, and his eyes were cold. Lu Qianqian also began to gather spiritual energy in her jade hands. The small poisonous spiders were just a bit more numerous, and the big poisonous spider was just a middle second grade. However, because it was poisonous, they had to be careful. Junior brother Zhou. Li Qingyang shouted, "Let's retreat first." He was really worried that when the spiders attacked with their venom, his junior brother would be affected and be poisoned. Zhou Hong did not retreat. He took a step forward and grabbed the hilt of his sword with one hand. His black hair danced in the wind, revealing a slightly weathered face. Whoosh whoosh. Sword chi spread out, revealing its sharpness. This man's sword aura and his weathered face that did not match his age gave off a sense of story. Sha sha sha. The small poisonous spiders dashed forward, and the distance between them was getting closer. Clang! Zhou Hong unsheathed his sword, and sword chi intertwined. There were not many of them, but they were powerful. Poochie! Poochie! Several sword chi swept across the ground and the mountain walls from different angles, instantly killing the small poisonous spiders. Yi Xingqian used the one-word speed technique, and each sword chi would dissipate after killing one spider. However, Zhou Hong's sword chi was like a scythe that swept across, killing more than 10 spiders. Ding! Ding! The number of spiders continued to rise. Ta! Zhou Hong took another step forward. The sword in his hand seemed to glide through the air lightly, but it instantly rippled with sword chi that sliced forward. Poochie! Poochie! 30 to 40 small poisonous spiders that came from the front were instantly killed. All the disciples were dumbfounded. Senior brother Yi had killed 60 spiders in 2 moves, and that was already powerful enough. However, senior brother Zhou's 2 moves were even more shocking. Amazing, amazing. Yi Xingqian praised from the bottom of his heart. The reason why he was able to display his strength was because of the one-word sword technique. This sword genius completely relied on one sword and one sword aura. Compared to him, he was far inferior. Poochie! Poochie! The sword chi was still appearing crazily, cutting through everything. In an extremely short time, more than 200 small poisonous spiders were all killed. The large poisonous spider that came slowly saw that its underlings were all killed, and fear appeared in its 8 eyes. It turned around and left, but it was mercilessly sliced into 2 by the sword chi. Clang! Zhou Hong sheathed his sword. The ground in front of him was littered with broken limbs. Green blood and venom converged into a river. The number of small poisonous spiders had also increased from 75 to 300. There were only 200 left to kill. Junior brother Zhou is too powerful. As expected of the number 1 sword cultivator in our Iron Bone sect. All the disciples were in awe. Jun Changshao said, "Continue to lure the spiders." Yes. Xiao Ziji raised cold edge and cut out stones from the mountain wall. He threw them into the green blood and then stepped on them with Li Yuhua. Sect leader. Zhou Hong said, "I can still fight." Then let's fight, Jun Changshao said. Li Qingyang, Su Xiaoma, and the others relaxed a lot. With a powerful sword cultivator like junior brother Zhou, no matter how many spiders came, it would not be a problem. Not long after, Xiao Ziji and Li Yuhua rushed over again. This time, the 2 of them attracted more than 200 small poisonous spiders. Among them, there were 4 large poisonous spiders. Unfortunately, in front of Zhou Hong, they did not even have the chance to spit venom, let alone get close to him. They were all killed by the extremely cold sword qi. This was definitely a one-sided slaughter. Ding! Small poisonous spiders killed, 500500. Ding! Host has completed the number of beasts killed. Epic mission completion rate, 20%. Host has received 200 contribution points. Ding! Contribution points, 6251000. Jun Changshao widened his eyes and said in surprise, so many contribution points? The first epic mission only gave 20 points when the mission completion rate was 10%. The second epic mission gave 200 points when the mission completion rate was 20%. That was quite scary. If the mission completion rate was 100%, wouldn't it give 1000 contribution points? Jun Changxiao's eyes burned. Sect leader Xiao Ziji said, there are no more spiders inside. Let's go. Jun Changxiao said, let's go in. Swoosh! Swoosh! The disciples began to clear the passage and put stones on top of the venom. Then, they followed the sect leader into the valley. Chapter 186. Under Jun Changxiao's lead, the disciples entered the dark valley. Spider webs could be seen everywhere, and there were even many egg-like things standing upright. These were spider eggs, which nurtured small poisonous spiders that hadn't hatched yet. Sha sha sha. In the dark, a dark green poisonous spider crawled out from the spider webs built in the forest. This fellow's body was 7 to 8 meters long, and when it crawled out, it looked like a moving mountain. Especially its 8 eyes, each of them was as big as a soccer ball. This should be the giant poisonous spider king. Jun Changxiao said, Zui Ji, give me the gun. Shwa! Xiao Ziji handed over the Type 88 sniper rifle. Jun Changxiao took the gun and set it up. His eyes rested on the 8x scope as he aimed directly at the ball-sized eye. You've become a commander without an army, yet you still dare to come out. Xiao! 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 After 8 consecutive shots, all 8 eyes of the giant poisonous spider king were shot out. Hiss! A painful and strange cry could be heard. Bang! Bang! Jun Changxiao fired again, using up the last bullet and directly penetrating the giant poisonous spider king's head. Ho. Before it died, the 5th-rank feral opened its mouth and spat out venom like rain. The Ironbone disciples had already gathered together, and Xiao Ziji, Li Yuhua, and the others set up a defensive barrier, blocking all the green poison. Boom! The giant poisonous spider king fell from the spider webs, dying before it could display its strength. Sect leader Jun was in a hurry, so how could he give it a chance to display its strength? Moreover, if the poison was spat out, it wouldn't be fun if it poisoned the disciples. Directly killing it was the safest. Ding! Side mission completed, the host has received 400 contribution points. Ding! Contribution points, 10251000. Ding! Excess contribution points, the host must spend them within 24 hours, or the excess contribution points will be automatically deducted. It had to be said that with the completion of various missions and the improvement of the sect's construction, the rewards for the follow-up missions were easily a few hundred contribution points. Jun Changxiao rubbed his hands and said, 1000 contribution points, I can buy the goods in the mid-tier store. The system poured cold water on him and said, the sect's construction hasn't reached level 4, so the host can't buy the goods in the mid-tier store. Fuck! Sect leader Jun dispelled the idea of opening the store and ordered, Core, go to the next entrance. Li Qingyang carefully dug out the great poisonous spider king's crystal core, while the other disciples collected some spider silk and began to search for another entrance. There were no other passageways in the spider lair, so Jun Changxiao led everyone back the way they came. They're out. Fuck me, why are they so clean? When the rogue cultivators waiting outside saw Jun Changshao come out with his 25 disciples, their expressions immediately changed. Weren't there were many poisonous spiders? Not only did the Iron Bone Sect's people come out safely, they didn't even have any poison on them. This was unbelievable. Jun Changshao chose a relatively clean place for his disciples to rest. Then, he opened the system interface. With 1025 contribution points, he could squander them as much as he wanted. Refresh. After deducting 10 contribution points, the items in the beginner's shop changed. Lord Changshao carefully browsed through them, and soon, he saw a martial skill called Mountain Splitting Palm. The introduction said that this was a palm technique created by a martial arts master. Once mastered, one could split a mountain with a single palm. Quality, high middle grade. Price, 50 contribution points. What Iron Bone lacked the most was various martial skills, so Jun Changshao bought it without hesitation and copied 1,000 copies. Ding! Sect contribution points, 9551000. Ding! Detected that the host bought a palm technique from the store, automatically matching it with the sect's martial skill. Jun Changshao glanced at the martial skill. After seeing the mountain splitting palm, he continued to look at the items. There were no more valuable items, so he continued to refresh. However, the new items were not as good as the previous ones. He casually bought the cheapest item and continued to refresh. The result was a tragedy. Because he spent 100 contribution points, he didn't see any martial skill-related items. Instead, there were a few daily necessities. I don't believe it. Jun Changshao scrolled down again. Refreshing the store was like drawing a lottery. It was easy to get addicted. Moreover, it depended on luck. If one was unlucky, they might not get a satisfactory item even if they used up all their contribution points. As a result, every refresh was a tragedy. The disciples who were resting saw their sect leader break down and go crazy. Their expressions changed a lot. Senior brother, what's wrong with the sect leader? He looks very uncomfortable. Is he poisoned? Everyone was dumbfounded. Jun Changshao spent another 100 contribution points and bought a few daily necessities. Although they had functions, they were very strange. For example, the umbrella he just bought said that it could be used as a parachute if one jumped from a cliff. Damn, who would jump from a cliff for no reason? If it wasn't the cheapest one, sect leader Jun wouldn't have considered buying it. In a short time, he spent 200 contribution points. It made his heart ache and he regretted it. If he had known, he would have bought 4 bottles of aptitude-changing liquid. Calm down, calm down. I can't refresh anymore. Yes, I'll refresh one last time. Jun Changshao calmly opened the store again. When he saw the useless items one by one, he pulled his hair in despair. And just when he thought that he had wasted his contribution points, there was an item called Beginner Grade Gate Palm Ball in the store. Gate Palm Ball? What does it mean? He clicked on the details. Item, Beginner Grade Gate Palm Ball effect, throw it at a locked beast to directly capture it. Advantage, the captured beast will become a contract beast. It can be summoned immediately after being thrown out. Disadvantage, can only be used by the sect leader and can only capture low-level beasts. Price, 100 contribution points. Damn! Jun Changshao said in surprise, isn't this the Master Ball? The system said, in the Falling Star continent, it is very troublesome to sign a contract with a beast. The Gate Palm Ball can be directly captured. The recommended purchase index is 5 stars. Ding! The host has spent 100 contribution points and obtained Beginner Grade Gate Palm Ball X1. It has been transferred to the spatial ring. Ding! Sect contribution points, 7551000. Schwa! Jun Changshao waved his hand and took out the Gate Palm Ball from the spatial ring. This object was about the size of an apple. There was a Tai Chi pattern engraved on it and it emitted a heavy aura. Sigh. It would be cool if he caught the Crimson Flame Wolf King and rode it all over the world. No problem, no problem. There must be beasts more handsome than the Crimson Flame Wolf in Death Valley. As long as he saw it, he would immediately capture it. Moreover, wolves were a bit low level. Catching a tiger or lion with a bigger physique and riding it would be cool. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Jun Changshao stood up and said, "Let's go." Saying so, he brought his disciples to the windless tunnel. However, when he was about to enter, he turned around and smiled, "Everyone, if you still want to pick up the leftovers, please continue to pay." The wandering cultivators collapsed one by one.